And welcome into JSU Stadium on the campus of Jacksonville State University. We are here live at Burgess Snowfield getting set for another day of the 2017 Gridiron Challenge. It is spring football time across the state of Alabama, and John, back again another year of the Gridiron Challenge. We're welcoming teams from all over the state of Alabama this year, teams from also Georgia and Tennessee. We got started on Thursday night with 3 good games. Day 2 today. You and I will be here for the first game, and it is a dandy. We've got the Hoover Bucks. Who doesn't know about Hoover and all the championship pedigree that they bring to the table? But they're taking on a team out of 6A today in Park Crossing that is maybe doesn't have as much tradition because they've only been around 3 years, but they've got some championship aspirations this year as well.
Very quickly, Park Crossing out of Montgomery is a team that has climbed the ladder. They've only been in existence, as you said, Mickey, 3 years. They go from 7-3 to 8-3, and now last year they wound up 12-2. Actually, officially 13-1 because they had a loss to Leo Montgomery. That was forfeited later, but they had the same record really that Hoover did last year. These are two 12-2 teams as we see Hoover making their way onto the field here at Burgess Snowfield. So this is a team that's got a lot of talent. They had a lot of talent last year. Their quarterback signed with Louisville. They have another great quarterback. They've got one of the top offensive linemen in the country, and it's a team that will challenge for the 6A state championship. And of course, talking about Hoover, we know they're going to challenge right off the bat. That's an automatic for the 7A crown next year. So, you know, we got a lot of great games. 38 teams, 22 games over the course of 5 days here at JSU. But this is, without a doubt, Mickey, no question about it, the premier game of these 5 days, this game between Park Crossing and Hoover.
And if you joined us on Thursday, obviously we have some different rules with it being spring games, but this game actually is going to be a normal game. They're going to play a regular 4-quarter game. It was a game that was really already set up, and they wound up bringing it in here to JSU. So this will be a full football game today. Yeah,
we're going to see a fantastic game today. There'll be a little bit different rules as far as the kicking and so forth, but we're expecting a fantastic day, a fantastic game coming up. I mean, this easily could be the preview of a team that might be your 7A champion and a team that could very easily be your 6A champion. That is how big this game is coming up here at Burgess Snowfield this morning.
And a good shot of the Hoover Bucks sideline. And Hoover, of course, will have a number of key players that will be recruited by a number of schools, Park Crossing as well. We'll kind of talk about that throughout the game as well. We've got, I know on the way in, John, I saw Auburn offensive line coach Herb Hand getting out of his car, spoke to him for a moment, and there's a lot of college coaches that are here taking in this game today, and for good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see Tank Jenkins. Remember that name. That is likely to be a household name because he is an upcoming senior lineman for Park Crossing, 6'4", 341-pound offensive lineman. He's number 70. We'll be seeing him a lot on that offensive front for Park Crossing. We saw him out there at the coin toss. He's a captain for Park Crossing, and he is a tremendous looking athlete. Every bit of that 6'4" and 341 pounds. And we see the kicker there right off the bat. That is Garrett Pickering, a 6', 185-pound upcoming senior for Hoover. He is the number 2 place kicker in America, Mickey, that we're seeing here at Burgess Snowfield. Already committed to play for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a 7A All-State player last year. 19 out of 27 on field goals. He was perfect on PATs, 49 out of 49 point after touchdowns, and then he nailed 66 of 79 kickoffs into the end zone, just like he did with that one, as he put that one deep into the end zone of the east side here at JSU Stadium. So the number 2 kicker in America, already seeing him right off the bat.
And Park Crossing has it to get things started from the 20-yard line. Pass over the middle is incomplete. By the way, your quarterback for Park Crossing is Cam Taylor, and the pass was intended for Jaquan Johnson.
And Cam Taylor, an interesting story here for Mr. Taylor. You know, Malik Cunningham, we mentioned him a lot last year, one of the top quarterbacks in the state. He committed and is playing for Louisville next year and graduated, so they needed a quarterback, and they got a transfer quarterback in Cam Taylor. Taylor was the quarterback last year at Prattville High School, and so he moved just down the road about 15 miles or so, and now he will be the quarterback, and this will be his first action. That was actually his first throw as a Park Crossing Thunderbird, so it'll be interesting to see him. He's a college prospect as well. Louisville looking at him, Michigan looking at him, Troy, a lot of other FBS schools looking at Cam Taylor.
Good-looking player, definitely passes the eye test, and big run here all the way across midfield, inside Hoover territory, down to around the 35-yard line goes number 6. That is Antonio Simmons.
By number 6, Antonio Simmons.
And there you see the run here at John. This kid definitely looks like a very solid physical running back with good speed.
Simmons only 5'8" and 171 pounds, but he ripped off a 34-yard run that time, taking the ball all the way and make that a 35-yard run all the way down to the Hoover 35-yard line. Make that a 45-yard run.
So Park Crossing in business as they cross the 50 into Hoover territory. You've got a whistle before the snap. Well, Hoover's got a monster defensive line. Goodness. A couple of big defensive tackles. One of those tackles may be offsides. There you see number 90 and number 98.
Big guys, and they've had some big defensive linemen in the past. People remember folks like Kerry Murphy that played at Alabama, outstanding defensive lineman. They've had go on and on with the great DLs they've had through the years at Hoover.
Josh Chapman, NFL player. So second down and 15. Nowhere to run for Benjamin Braswell as he was met behind the line of scrimmage by Hoover's Adrian Hill.
You see the big guy right there, big number 70, Tank Jenkins. We'll be watching him a lot. He is obviously the right tackle, as we mentioned earlier, 6'4", 341 pounds, being offered by virtually everybody in major college football. Top offensive lineman in the state of Alabama and one of the top linemen in the country, playing at right tackle for Park Crossing.
Taylor back to throw. Pass is complete over the middle, and nice yards after the catch for Johnson. And that'll move the chains down to the Hoover 20. So good throw and catch here. And again, Johnson kind of retreating a bit there, but able to free up enough space to pick up the first down.
This was one of the top offenses in any class in the state last year. They averaged 40 points a game playing in Class 6A, did Park Crossing. They missed Cunningham, but it looks like with Taylor, they found a capable backup.
Taylor had a man wide open across the middle. Greg McConico was wide open at the 5-yard line, and Taylor threw it behind him. He would love to have that one back. That would have been a touchdown.
That was an easy touchdown, but I've been impressed so far by the offensive line, especially their pass blocking. There's really been no pressure being applied by these big Hoover defensive linemen. They've done a great job of protecting Taylor here on this first drive.
Second down and 10 at the Hoover 20. Park Crossing on their first possession, trying to break through here against the Bucks. Taylor with all kind of time to throw. Passes well over the head of the intended receiver, Jaquan Johnson. He was well covered in the end zone. Really didn't have anywhere to place that football, so it's going to be 3rd and 10.
Well, just on this first drive, a couple of things that impressed me about Park Crossing is, one, that offensive line we expected to be very good. Mickey, they look like they may average 280 across the front there. They have given Taylor all kind of time. Taylor may not have been accurate so far, but there's no question about his arm strength.
Blitz from the secondary. They pick it up. Pass is complete as Cam Taylor finds number 82, Barry Womack. And that is going to be good enough for a first down. So a couple of 3rd down and long conversions here, John, for Park Crossing.
Yeah, that was a laser that time. A big target. Womack, 6'2", about 170 pounds, coming across the middle. Big target, and that was a strike from Taylor.
Give up the middle. And that is Braswell. And nothing doing as Hoover won the battle there at the line of scrimmage. So They'll give him about 2 yards, so we'll call it 2nd down and goal from just outside the 8.
As you mentioned, Mickey, that's a big defensive line for Hoover, but that offensive line for Park Crossing really even dwarfs them.
Taylor again with time to throw. Got his man at the 4, slipped down, knee touchdown. That was Antonio Simmons catching it out of the backfield that time, and that'll leave them in 3rd and goal from the 4.
Excellent pass blocking. Just looking at some of those guys up front, not only the size, but the technique. Watching that time, 54, Evan Batten. Doing a nice job of pass blocking.
Taylor on a little read option. Looked like he in the back. Simmons wanted to hold on to it. Taylor wanted to pull it, and it results in basically a no gain on the play. So 4th down and goal from just inside the 4. And it looks as though the Thunderbirds will send in the field goal unit to try to get on the scoreboard.
And Park Crossing last year had a great kicker themselves. They had really the #1 kicker as far as percentage goes. They had the top kicker in the state last year who graduated. So this will be a new kicker for the Thunderbirds.
Listed as wearing number 48. We do not have a 48 on our roster. And the field goal is good, so Park Crossing takes the game's first possession, marches down the field against the Hoover defense, drive stalls, but they do come away with a field goal to take a 3-0 lead with 8:42 left here in the first quarter.
Chance to look at the Hoover offense coming up next. And one of the things they're doing a little bit differently is we did have a live kick on the kickoff. It's different than what we had here Thursday in the first night of our spring Gridiron Challenge. Taking a look there at JSU Stadium. Nice shot, beautiful day. Kickoff temperature was about 72 degrees. We've got some clouds out there, but we've had a mix of clouds and sunshine, but all the rain has moved off to the south and southeast, so we don't expect any rain today. The clouds will continue to dissipate as we go through the day. We'll wind up with a mostly sunny sky by the time everything is over with. So beautiful, perfect football weather here for all the games we have coming up today. Another great game coming up after this. Hewitt-Trussville, who was a team that was in the quarterfinals last year, was put out by Gadsden City. And they're a talented team coming in, taking on a Cordova, Tennessee team out of the Metro Memphis area who was 12-2 in Class 6A in Tennessee last year. So that's going to be a great matchup, and there's some big-time college prospects on both of those teams as well coming up at about 1 o'clock this afternoon in game number 2, and then we roll on from there with more football all the way up until about 6 or 6:30 tonight here at JSU Stadium.
Yeah, the front moving in, ushered in some cooler temperatures today, so very, very pleasant day here in Jacksonville. And the kick sails into the end zone, and they are using the live kicking game here in this one. It will be the only game that will have that. After this game, we will go back to the regular Gridiron Challenge rules, which we'll talk about throughout the day. And so we'll get our first look at the Hoover Bucks on offense from the 20-yard line.
And there's a guy that most folks, I think, that are watching us this morning may have heard of, a guy by the name of Vincent Jackson, Bo Jackson. Well, his great nephew is a standout wide receiver for this Hoover team. Shedrick Jackson, 6 foot 2, 200-pound wide receiver, over 1,000+ career yards receiving, and he is a big-time college prospect. So we'll be looking for him today.
And a good play defensively right away for Park Crossing as Vontae Brackett, starting running back, tried to cut that outside, and Park Crossing pursuit was outstanding. A host of Thunderbird players there to take him down for no gain. So 2nd down and 10 for the Bucks. The defending 7A state champions in the state of Alabama. They go back to the ground game again with Brackett, and unable to turn the corner. He was pushed out of bounds on the far side by Tremaine Osborne. I think we're already seeing, John, that this Park Crossing team speed, it's going to be hard to get around the edge on these guys.
Yeah, they did a great job that time of stringing out the play. Had 3 or 4 defenders there, and he just ran out of real estate, just really nowhere to go. We do see a flag down over there at about the 18-yard line. They're going to call a face mask against Park Crossing. So 2 good defensive plays by the Thunderbirds, but that will be wiped out by a face mask penalty.
And of course, in spring games, with so limited practice time, there you see the face mask. Good catch there by our cameras. Sometimes it's really hard to get good information on who's going to start and who's going to be at what position. So we're kind of feeling our way through it a little bit here as well. So.
Well, not to make excuses for us, Mickey, but a lot of times the coaches don't even know.
They really don't.
They have no idea.
You ask a coach for a starting lineup for a spring game, they laugh at you. Pass over the middle is picked off. It is intercepted at midfield by Park Crossing's Tremaine Osborne, the young man who made the tackle a moment ago. We've got flags coming in at the end of the play. We'll get another look at it here.
The ball is now on Park Crossing Thunderbirds. First down.
Good arm, but just sailed on him and right into the teeth of that Park Crossing defense. A lot of white jerseys in the area. Not sure what the penalty is. Probably on the return. It is on Park Crossing. Yeah, it's like a hold on the return, so they'll mark it off 10 yards from the 24-yard line, and they'll put that back at the 34. But still, outstanding field position for Park Crossing as they took the first drive and had a couple of big plays. The drive stalled. They were able to get a field goal, but now they're right back pretty much in scoring position inside the Hoover 35. Look at that big offensive line from Park Crossing there, Mickey. Look at those guys, 70, 74, 71. I mean, they have got some beef up front for Park Crossing. We've seen this is an athletic bunch as well. Pass blocking is one of the toughest things to do for an offensive lineman, and they have been very good on that offensive line.
And Cam Taylor almost gave it right back. Threw it right into the arms of the Hoover linebacker, Cameron Robinson, who could not bring it in.
I think Robinson really surprised. He turned around. There was the ball right there. Tried to one-arm it. Just fell out of his hands. He's frustrated with himself, but probably the only bad decision as far as Taylor that time. He's had some miscues, but not really a bad throw. That was pretty much a bad throw. He threw that all into orange jerseys.
Tell you another thing I'm seeing here early in this game. Cam Taylor has got all day to throw. He's just standing back there with no pressure at all. Hoover's going to have to do something about that. Here he is again with plenty of time to throw. Zips it down inside the 20. Pass is caught by Antonio Simmons. And that play will be good enough for another Park Crossing first down. That's their 4th first down of the quarter. They had 3 on their first drive.
If he gets that kind of time to throw throughout the 2017 season with the weapons he has at wide receiver and at running back, this is going to be another Park Crossing team that's going to challenge for a 6A state championship.
So back inside the 20 for the 2nd consecutive time goes Park Crossing. Here is Simmons, and he is cut down behind the line of scrimmage. That's an outstanding play by the Hoover Bucks. Kind of hard to pick up these jersey numbers on the Hoover defense. I think that was Kendall Parker that made that stop.
And that was one of those situations where there was a nice hole there for a moment, but Hoover did a great job of filling that hole, and what looked like might be a 5 or 10 yard gain turned into about a 2-yard gain, or actually no gain.
2nd down and 10. Empty backfield set now. 5 receivers. Taylor steps up in the pocket, takes off, and picks up 7, maybe 8 yards inside the 15-yard line. So there's the dual threat ability that we've seen for the first time. Pocket started to collapse a little bit. Cam Taylor shows he's very capable of taking off and using those legs when he needs to. And
that was the scouting report we heard on Taylor, was he would be a lot like Malik Cunningham, the quarterback last year, who was such a dual threat, running in, throwing the ball. He's at Louisville now. Well, there's really, they said there's not a lot of difference between Cunningham and Taylor. Taylor the same mold with a great arm and also great legs. 3rd down and 5. Taylor lobs it, got a man open in the end zone. It's a touchdown. Number 8, Jaquan Johnson got free in the secondary. He was covered by Colin Jackson, and Taylor found him. Little pump fake there and got it to him. 2 impressive drives, to be quite honest with you, by Park Crossing. and both ending in a score. The first time it bogged down deep in Hoover territory and they had to kick the field goal, but that was an impressive drive again. And what has impressed me, Mickey, is the number of quality wide receivers the Thunderbirds have. That's about the 4th or 5th different receiver that Taylor's thrown to just here in this first quarter.
Extra point is good. Correction, that was Miles Sperling for Hoover covering the receiver there in the end zone. So Park Crossing comes up with the interception, and they turn it into points to take a 10-0 lead.
And I'll tell you, eyebrows are being raised all across 6A football because Park Crossing has come in here and they have jumped on Hoover 10-0, the defending 7A champions who finished number 19 in the country last year. And for all intents and purposes, Mickey, this has been all Park Crossing here in this first quarter. And I think folks around the state, when they see this, if they're watching this on our live stream at TV24.tv, they're start looking at their schedules this year about who might be the top teams in 6A. Park Crossing definitely going to be one of those top teams in 6A in this state next year.
Well, personnel-wise, you know Hoover's always got a lot of numbers, and they do today. They've got a ton of players here dressed out. But Park Crossing has every bit the same. I mean, you look over at the far sideline, they've got just as many players dressed out as Hoover, and they passed the eye test. They have got some really good-looking high school football players, and it looks as though, from what we've seen, this is the first time I've ever seen them play. Very well coached, executing very well against obviously one of the top high school football teams in the country in Hoover. Big special teams play here for the Bucks. And all the way across the 50-yard line goes number 3, Larry McCammon. That is just what the doctor ordered for Hoover after falling behind 10-0. They get a big play here on the kickoff, and they've got the football inside Thunderbird territory.
And if the Thunderbirds kicker does not make the tackle that time, that is going to be a touchdown right off the bat for Hoover. Hoover, though, with excellent field position at the 44 of Park Crossing. As we see the team from Cordova, Tennessee, up in the Metro Memphis area, they are here. And we're seeing them out in the stands, making their way to the dressing room, getting ready for the next game against Hewitt-Trussville.
First down, Bucks. Quarterback rolls out, has a man wide open at the 10. Touchdown, Hoover. Just like that. The Bucks come right back. The big kickoff return. And then the wide receiver, number 80, Shedrick Jackson, the nephew of former Auburn great Bo Jackson, got behind the cornerback, and the quarterback, Jalen Parker, found him.
That's Nick Marshall to Sammy Coates right there. We talked about a game here on Thursday night, had a play just like that. But the quarterback rolls out, draws up the DB, and then the wide receiver slips behind the corner and the safety and is able to get an easy touchdown. So already hearing from Shedrick Jackson, one of the top wide receivers in the state of Alabama. And there's Garrett Pickering, the number 2 kicker in the country, and there's a flag on the play, makes the extra point. You know, Pickering, as we said last year, Mickey did not miss an extra point the entire year. He was 49 out of 49 on extra points. He nailed that one as well.
And again, we are seeing live kicking in this game. The only game at the Gridiron Challenge that will take place. Unsportsmanlike conduct against the Bucks. So that will be enforced on the kickoff. And John, there's a coach that we know all about, Josh Niblett.
Josh Niblett, former head coach at Aniana and, of course, at Oxford. 18th year as a head coach. That's hard to believe. 6 total state titles, 5 at Hoover, including the one last year. Also had a state championship at Aniana before he came to Oxford. His 10th year, that's hard to believe as well. This will be his 10th year coming up as the head coach of the Hoover Buccaneers. And just continuing what Rush Propst started there at Hoover, they have really not missed a beat under Josh Niblett as the University of Hoover just continues to roll on with another state championship last season.
You know, you look back at all the success Rush Propst had at Hoover, well documented. Of course, the 2-a-days show on MTV. Just to think the type of person it would take to even take that job and follow Rush Propst. And not only was Josh Niblett willing to do that, but then he gets in there and look what he's done. I mean, he's just about one state championship away from matching what Rush Probst accomplished.
Absolutely, and I think it's gotten to the point now where they can't find a non-region game in state. Last year, all 3 of their non-region games were out-of-state teams, and it's going to be the same way this year. Nobody really wants any part of Hoover in state as far as unless they have to play them. There's a big kickoff return by Park Crossing.
The Thunderbirds return the favor as Greg McConico gets it across midfield inside Hoover territory at about the 40-yard line. So here come the Thunderbirds right back.
Well, they actually returned it even deeper than Hoover did. Maybe not quite as an exciting and explosive return, but actually they're deeper inside Hoover territory than Hoover was in their territory on the kickoff, all the way down to the 40-yard line. So they took that first drive, got a field goal. Second drive with the interception started at the 34. Now after a big kickoff return, they're going to start this drive at the Hoover 40.
Cam Taylor, plenty of time to throw, zips it downfield, all right in the hands of Jaquan Johnson, who was streaking down the seam, and this pass was perfectly placed.
I tell you, Cam Taylor started off and he misfired on a couple of the passes early on, but since that time, Mickey, he has been throwing darts, and they have been right on the money. That was almost another big 25 or 30-yard game.
Second down to 10, corner blitz. They have the perfect play call for it as they hand it off to Simmons right over right tackle. He darts forward inside the 35 to the 33, so 7-yard gain. And there we see, John, the Hoover defensive coaches dialing up something because they haven't been able to get any pressure on Taylor with rushing 3 or 4, so they brought the corner that time.
That's going to be as good of an offensive line as I think we're going to see in any class this year in high school football in Alabama, is this offensive line from Park Crossing, as we have stoppage in play here. I don't see a flag. I think we had a timeout, maybe called by Hoover.
Timeout on the field with 3:53 left in our first quarter. Very entertaining game so far from 2 of the top teams in the state of Alabama.
The 2017 college football season kicks off in Montgomery. The Guardian Credit Union FCS kickoff will open the college football season on Saturday, August 26th at 5 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Don't miss 2 of the nation's top-ranked FCS teams, the Jacksonville State University Gamecocks and the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Mocs at historic Crampton Bowl. Visit GuardianKickoffClassic.com for the FanFest schedule of events and game information.
You will take more than 672 million breaths throughout your lifetime. Yet life is not measured by the number of breaths you take, but by the moments that take your breath away. JSU is proud to offer Northeast Alabama's only Bachelor of Science in Respiratory Therapy. Now enrolling tomorrow's breathing specialist. Breathe easy.
And we are back to action. 3rd down and 3. And Simmons is popped right at the line of scrimmage.
3rd down and 3 on the play. And, well, we've talked about how good the Park Crossing offensive line is. They've not been super spectacular in the run game. It's been really the pass blocking where they've been so impressive. And now it brings up a 4th down and 4. So 4th and 4 now from after the Hoover timeout from the Hoover 34-yard line. Another stoppage in play. And I think we've got an equipment problem with a Hoover player over there. Maybe the shoulder pads getting knocked out of whack over there with his jersey. And now they've got that corrected, and Park Crossing going to go for it on 4th down and 4. Taylor in the shotgun, and again they drop a blitz this time. They bring a blitz off the corner. They're in pursuit and finally knock him out of bounds, and that's going to be a big loss, and the ball will go over to Hoover. So after just letting him stand in the pocket there, and now we're going to have a flag thrown over here on the Hoover sideline, probably unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That was called right in front of Josh Nibwitt over here on the Hoover sideline. But after watching for most of this first quarter, Cam Taylor just stand in the pocket and throw darts. That time after the timeout, Hoover decided to bring some pressure. They brought some pressure off the corner, and it worked as they're able to chase down Cam Taylor and chase him out of bounds for a loss on the play of almost 10 yards. As the officials now going to straighten this out right in front of the Hoover bench here.
And John, this could be very costly because they had him stopped, but there was some jawing going on by some of the players. So
Hoover players are clapping, so it looks like this is going to be on Park Crossing. Actually, it's going to be on Hoover. So they're clapping, even though the unsportsmanlike penalty was against them.
Okay.
So they were going to have the ball at about the 43-yard line. They ran him out at the 43, but now with the unsportsmanlike penalty, that's going to take the ball back inside the 30-yard line all the way back to the 28. So a costly penalty there for Hoover, but I don't think they care at this point. They had a great defensive play and got the ball back. Interesting, after that timeout, you kind of could see what was going to happen. That they were not going to let him stand in the pocket anymore and throw the dart on 4th and 4. They were going to bring some pressure, and that's exactly what they did out of the timeout.
It seems like momentum that was so much in the favor of Park Crossing those first 2 drives, seems like it's kind of shifting to the Hoover Bucks now. Here's the handoff to Vontae Brackett, and a correction, that is number 3, Larry McCammon. And he picks up a big gain out across midfield to the Park Crossing 48-yard line.
McCammon did a great job that time of setting up his blocks and being very patient, coming out, kind of waiting, broke a tackle, saw the hole, sprinted through it, and able to pick up some nice yardage all the way back across the 50-yard line. So about a 24-yard gain from McCammon.
1st and 10 at the Park Crossing 48. And they give it to McCammon again, and he is slung down at about the 45-yard line by Park Crossing's Gia Langford. Short gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
You mentioned Langford. That's another all-state defensive lineman for Park Crossing. A guy last year was one of the top defensive linemen, obviously first-team all-stater in Class 6A.
2nd down and 8. This is Brackett. Ducks his head. Bulls his way over the Park Crossing defensive back, Stephen Thomas, and he's down to about the 38-yard line, very close to a 1st down.
Watch this block by George Pickens. Just enough to get in the way over there and knocked out one of the Park Crossing players to kind of spring him for the extra yardage. Nice pickup again by Hoover, who has really come alive offensively these last 2 possessions. Yet another 1st down, 2 in a row now on this drive for the Bucks. Hoover once again at the line of scrimmage, trying to continue this drive. 1st and 10 from the 38. Play clock was at 2 when they snapped the ball. Going deep into the end zone looking for Jackson again. This one's going to be broken up at the goal line. Nice play. That's going to be knocked away down there by David Douglas, number 11. As Hoover was looking for the bomb once again. Nice play action fake. Nice throw all the way to the end zone. They were looking for Jackson once again, but the ball knocked away right at the goal line. Good defensive play by Park Crossing. 2nd down and 10 now for the Bucks. Run play to the outside. Great defense. Park Crossing coming up once again. That's going to be Zaylen Harvest coming in for the tackle, and that's going to be a loss of about a yard. Going to knock the ball back down to about the 39-yard line. So now 3rd down and long here for Hoover at the 39 of Park Crossing. Good open field tackle that time by Zaylen Harvest.
All right, John, a little bit of mic difficulty on my side here. Hopefully we've got it fixed. 3rd down and 1 now for Hoover.
Nothing a little duct tape won't solve, right?
Yeah. Bucks need a yard for the 1st down. And we've got a stoppage in play and a timeout by, well, that is actually the end of the 1st quarter. So we will step aside for a break. Park Crossing leading Hoover 10-7. The Bucks on the march. They'll face 3rd and 1 when we come back to JSU.
Don't just dream it. Call Family Savings Credit Union. Right now, get something you want for as low as 2.24% APR. You can even apply online or by phone. Family Savings Credit Union, where your money grows with you and your family.
If you or someone you know takes monthly medications, you know the problem. Easy Meds from Downey Drug is a breakthrough program that packages, labels, and dispenses your meds accurately.
With Downey Drug Easy Meds, it makes it so simple. I don't have to fool with all of this anymore.
I don't forget to take my meds anymore.
I get all my prescriptions at the same time each month.
This is so simple.
Call Downey Drug and find out more about Easy Meds. Medication management made simple.
And we are back, ready for the second quarter here of the opening game of the day here at the 2017 Gridiron Challenge from JSU. Mickey Shadracks, John Holder, also Gerhard Mathangani down on the field. We'll be checking in with him later. First quarter, very good game. Park Crossing leading Hoover 10-7 as we head into the second quarter. The Bucks facing a 3rd down and 1. And John, we were talking during the break. It's almost like Park Crossing came out, kind of threw a big punch in the first round, staggered Hoover a little bit, and the Bucks said, you know what, we better wake up and start playing some football. Now the momentum seems to have shifted in their direction.
It really has. I think one thing that we're seeing here is what we expected, is this is one of the top teams, obviously in Class 7A in the state in Hoover for 2017, and this is also one of the top teams in 6A in the state in Park Crossing. These are going to be teams, I think, Mickey, we get around Thanksgiving time, we're still going to be talking about Hoover and Park Crossing.
And by the way, the officials have rotated in, changed up for the second quarter. The officials rotating on a quarterly basis in this game. So a new set of officials here. And on 3rd and 1, Park Crossing had great penetration. And the back for Hoover, McCammon, really never had a chance to get any forward momentum going. And he actually loses a yard. So here's a decision for the Bucks. Now 4th and 2 here at the Park Crossing 40.
Jania Scott coming in that time, leading a whole host of white jerseys to make the stop. And Mickey, I think this is the first punt we've had in the game. Is that right?
Interesting decision here not to go for it on 4th and 2 from the 40.
And they are going to have live punting. All of our other spring games here at JSU not going with live punting, just a simulated punt, but this will be an actual real punt with a live rush, and that is a nice looking punt.
And a good decision there by Park Crossing's Greg McConico to let that go over his head. He was positioned at the 5, and with it being over his head, let it go, and it bounced into the end zone. So the Thunderbirds will get it 1st and 10 at the 20.
He planted that punt exactly where it needed to be. He touched that thing down at the 2-yard line. So Hoover had a chance to make a big play. Not the punter's fault, was able to get down there and get under it. Well, that offensive line, that is a college-sized offensive line. Smitty Grider, only head coach in school history, 28-7 in 3 seasons. Former head coach did a great job of turning around the Beauregard program as we see Tank Jenkins move and offsides there on the first play, but also was a head coach for 1 year at Central of Coosa. Then went and spent, I believe, 8 years at Beauregard up in Lee County outside Opelika. You know, they won the 5A state championship last year, did Beauregard. And he was the guy who kind of built that program into what it was. And now beginning his 4th season this fall down at Park Crossing. Park Crossing, a lot of folks have talking about, well, John, I've never heard of this school. And that's a school on the east side of Montgomery, a new school, only in its 3rd year. This will be their 4th year this fall playing football. It's a brand new school on the east side of Montgomery. And another move on the other side now. We had the right tackle, now the left tackle moves, so they keep on moving back. But talking about Park Crossing, a brand new school, Thunderbirds. They're the only Thunderbirds in the state of Alabama. And that really, they came up with that nickname because, as you know, Montgomery, because of a couple of the Air Force bases down there, Gunner and Maxwell, there's a rich Air Force tradition in the city of Montgomery. So they went to kind of honor that with the name Thunderbirds. Had a number of names they were considering, and I like that. I always like different nicknames, and then something that kind of ties in with Montgomery. And so that's where the school came from, the Park Crossing Thunderbirds. Really was not, Mickey, until they built this high school, this really was not a public high school out on the east side of Montgomery. Of course, that's the part of town, as you know, that's growing. That's where the growth is out there. A lot of new housing developments and things like that. And most of the Montgomery public schools are down in the center of town, kind of inside the beltway, inside the the bypasses there. Folks like Carver and Sidney Lanier and Lee and Jeff Davis. A lot of private schools out in that part of town, but this is the public school now that kind of feeds that east side of Montgomery.
So after back-to-back offensive penalties, the Thunderbirds now face 1st and 20 from their 10. So an opportunity for the Hoover defense to flip field position. Taylor hands it off to the tailback, and he gets nothing as Antonio Simmons ran into the arms of the Hoover defender there. You see him, big number 99. That is Kamari Brown.
Kamari Brown, as we talked about the size up front, but he's as big as any of those guys over there on that Park Crossing offensive front, that's for sure.
So 2nd down and 10. Taylor zips it over the middle. It is complete to Johnson, and he gets the penalty yardage back plus about 3. So we'll set up a 3rd down and 7 at the 23.
Talking about the great pass blocking by Park Crossing. Watching Tank Jenkins that time on this right tackle there. He just locked up on the Hoover defensive end and totally squashed him. Just nothing he could do once he locked up on him.
Taylor gets hit from behind as he threw it, and that affected the accuracy of his pass. But I'll tell you what, he never saw Greg Russell coming from the backside, and this is really the first shot they've gotten on Cam Taylor this afternoon.
And if he's a second late, Womack was wide open across the middle and about to make a big play, so they got to him just in time to save the big play because Womack was wide open at about the 35-yard line. Would have had the 1st down a whole lot more. So we've seen a very nice punt the first time that Hoover punted. First time we'll see a punt now for Park Crossing. But regardless of what kind of punt he gets off here, Hoover should have excellent field position.
Tremaine Osborne, a low line drive kick that will hit at the 44 and take a short roll down to the 37. So the Hoover defense taking advantage of those 2 offensive penalties. They get Park Crossing off the field with a 3 and out, and now the Bucks get it back down by 3. 8:51 left here in our 2nd quarter. And just once again a reminder, today's first game of the Gridiron Challenge is a regular full 4-quarter game with live kicking. My understanding is that's the only game at the challenge that will be played in that manner.
See the Hoover Buck cheerleaders, they're here in full force. They're known for those large, humongous signs. It's kind of a calling card for Hoover, and they had one of those even for the spring game here for the Bucks to run through to open the game.
Jalen Parker completes the pass to Timothy Booker, and Booker fights forward for a few yards. And tell you, we talked a lot about Cam Taylor, John. Haven't talked much about Jalen Parker, but the Hoover quarterback, he is a big player. He has got some height. He's very thick, very muscular. Haven't seen him run it, but I'm sure he's a very capable of picking up yards on the ground.
And we've seen his passing as the game has moved on. He'll be a first-year starting quarterback for Hoover. We've seen his passing game become very good as the game has gone along here into the 2nd quarter. A couple of very nice throws to the end zone, one for a touchdown, one that very nearly could have been for a touchdown, was broken up at the goal line. But been very impressed with his arm strength and his accuracy. Made a nice short throw on the play just before that as he threw the screen out there.
First carry of the day for Jaquez Allen. Picks up 7, so Hoover 3rd down and 1. Possession play for the Bucks at their own 46. Can they keep the drive alive? Yes. That is Vontae Brackett, the upcoming senior starting tailback. Carries it for 4 yards just across midfield, and that will move the chains.
Brackett, good job. There was a hole, it closed up, kind of picked his way through there, and then stuck his head down and dragging a couple of Park Crossing defenders with him across the 50 to pick up the 1st down.
So 1st and 10. Swing it out in the flat. Pass is complete, but not much running room for Brackett, as he only gained, well, maybe a half yard, or that's Not sure he gained anything. We'll call it 2nd and 10.
Not a big play that time, obviously no gain, but a good decision by Parker at quarterback. He had a number of receivers. They were all covered, looking, and found his outlet guy. Really the only guy that was open. He was able to pick him out and find him. So good decision making by Parker that time.
Interesting play here. Well designed. Nice execution. Number 24, Kendall Parker, wound up with the football. Kind of almost like a fake and a little shovel pass. Like this. See what happens here. There's the fake. Yeah. Interesting play.
As a variation, we see a lot of what they call the Utah pass and the shovel pass. We see that run a lot, but I don't think I've ever seen it where they fake the handoff to one running back and then do the shovel pass. And it's really rare to see trick plays in the spring. You know, this is only the 10th day of practice. This counts as day 10. So in 9 days to be able to put in trick plays, that's pretty impressive by Josh Niblett and his staff.
The running back leaned forward. They're going to flag him for it. Pass is downfield, incomplete. This is going to be an offensive penalty against the Hoover Bucks. The tailback leaned forward and could not stop himself, and the referee right there to see it.
Well, obviously, if you're a Hoover fan, one of the things you're looking for is what kind of a job Parker would do. What's he going to look like at quarterback? And I'll tell you, I think that they've got another fantastic quarterback down at Hoover, Mickey. He's shown me a lot. Good decision making, good arm strength, good accuracy. Seems to be in command of the offense, command of the team. I think they've got another good quarterback down at Hoover.
Five-yard penalty. Moves the football back to the 40. So it'll be 1st and 15 for the Bucks. Hoover has yet to lead in this game. Our correction, they did lead 7-3, looking to get the lead again. Handoff here. The back takes it down near the 30. That is McCammon on a nice gain.
Another nice run. That time picked up about 8 yards inside the 35 to the 31. Seems like Hoover kind of settling down on offense now.
This is definitely their most sustained drive of the day. Their first touchdown came after a long kickoff return and then a long pass play. Receiver wide open over the middle and could not hold on to the football. There you see that's number 23, Patrick Palmore. I think the ball was a little bit behind him, but Palmore, there you see himself saying, my bad. He definitely had his hands on it and should have caught it. And had he led him a little bit better, it would have been a touchdown.
Could have been. Again, this is the first-year starting quarterback for Hoover, so as they go through, they'll have a lot of 7-on-7. Hoover actually hosting one of the big national 7-on-7s. That might be a lateral.
Football is loose, it's live, and Park Crossing hops on it at the 37. And John, you talked about Gia Langford, the outstanding defensive player for Park Crossing. He came through there and really laid the lumber to Jalen Parker. Watch number 35 coming here. Boom.
And a good call by the officials. That ball was behind you. There was no whistle there. So that let you know that the ball was live and that was considered a lateral, and Park Crossing recovered that. So a good call by the officials, and they're going through spring training, and that, I would say they're in midseason form with that call. It's an excellent call by the officials and a turnover by Hoover. So they've had an interception and a fumble here in the first half with 5:07 to go until halftime. So that's one of the things that Josh Niblett and his staff will be working on this summer to kind of clean up.
First down give up the middle. That is a new tailback in the game. I think that was Justin, no correction, that was number 10, who's been in the game already. Benjamin Braswell.
First two drives were very, very productive for Park Crossing. Since that time, though, the Hoover defense has kind of settled in as well, and Park Crossing has been held scoreless in the last couple of drives.
Taylor gets the pass away and incomplete. It was intended for Jaquan Johnson.
Use a baseball terminology, that pass by Taylor, a little hot, a little high, and a little outside.
So a 3rd and long coming up here for Park Crossing as the Hoover defense, John, seems to have figured out the Thunderbird offense a little bit here in the second quarter.
They certainly have, and they've been able to put a little bit more pressure. They've had to take a few risks to get that pressure, but they've been able to bring some guys. They bring a guy again.
And he gets there. That is definitely the adjustment that's made a big difference in this game. Cam Taylor was standing back there with all kinds of time in that first quarter. Now Hoover's starting to bring some creative blitzes, and here you'll see the defenders shoot through there and take Taylor down for a big loss. That was Kendall Parker, I believe, coming through there to get the sack.
And that time, basically what they did with Parker, just a little bit of a wrinkle there. He's an outside linebacker, and they just walked him up as a defensive end. They just kind of walked him up about 4 steps. Nobody accounted for him on the Park Crossing offensive line, and he basically just came free and had a clear shot at Cam Taylor.
Bad snout, but a good bounce right into the arms of the punter. And again, this one takes a pretty good Park Crossing roll down to the 25. So the Bucks defense gets off the field again. 2 consecutive 3-and-outs for the Hoover defense, and their offense gets it back with 3:23 to play here in the first half.
Both offenses started off pretty hot. We were 10-7 within about the first 7 or 8 minutes of the game, but now we're 3:23 till halftime. And both offenses have cooled off. No scoring since that first half of the first quarter. So let's see what Hoover can do here now with this possession starting. This is probably the worst field position they've had since the beginning of the game, starting at their own 25.
And they go to the ground game on first down. This is Jaquez Allen, his second carry of the game, and he is ripped hard out of bounds and actually took out a Hoover coach in the process.
Hoover fans over here, I think they were wanting a horse collar, but dragged him by the jersey, but I don't think that's the classic definition of a horse collar. So I think the officials made a good call in just letting that go.
If this were bowling, that would be a strike.
And he still gained 4 yards out of that. So nice pickup on first down for Hoover.
Sun coming out here in the overcast skies on this very nice day here in Jacksonville, Alabama, on the campus of Jacksonville State University. Parker zips his pass, and it's caught by Pickens. Nice spin move, and finally we kind of get a big play. We had the long touchdown to Shedrick Jackson, but this is really only the second big play out of the passing game for this Hoover offense.
You know, Jackson gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so. A big body with a lot of speed, great hands at wide receiver. But I've been impressed in this first half by Pickens. Pickens is only a rising junior, and he did a great job not only catching the pass, but then turning it up and getting a lot of yards after the catch that time before being forced out of bounds at the 50. Nice looking catch and run by George Pickens.
First down at midfield. Parker with time downfield, and the pass is incomplete, but we've got a flag. The intended receiver that time for Hoover, that was number 80, Shedrick Jackson. He was double covered, and there must have been some contact.
They may call this on number 2, Stephen Thomas. 2 and 3 were in the area, and they are going to call that on 2, and that's going to be Stephen Thomas. Had his arm in there, probably grabbed hold of the shoulder pads. And that will be called just about every time. That's a pretty obvious pass interference play. So after that pass interference penalty, that's another 15 yards. And here comes Hoover, Mickey, now getting deep inside Park Crossing territory at the 35. They're looking to take their first lead of the game.
Frustrating penalty there on Thomas because they didn't need it. Pass was overthrown. But instead of a big defensive play, Hoover now first down at the Thunderbird 35 after the pass interference penalty. Parker lobs it up down the near sideline, incomplete, intended for Timothy Booker, the upcoming senior wide receiver.
Parker no doubt has all the tools. He's got the arm, and as we mentioned before, Hoover is kind of one of the pioneers of 7-on-7 football back through the years. Everybody plays that now. Hoover's one of the first teams that really kind of was the leaders in 7-on-7 football years ago, and they'll be hosting one of those national events again down at Hoover this summer. They play in a lot of very competitive, high-quality 7-on-7 events, and with the reps that he'll get this summer in those 7-on-7 team events, he'll be ready to go by the fall.
Little misdirection play, and it wound up in the hands of Kendall Parker. Nice gain down inside the 30, a gain of 9 yards. Will set up a 3rd down and 1, and Hoover goes without a huddle. They pick up the pace. Quick snap. Handoff. It'll be a 1st down and more. That is McCammon, able to get around the edge, tackled by Park Crossing's Jania Scott, but it's going to be 1st down at the Thunderbird 13-yard line.
Hoover's done a good job because of some of the deep throws. They have kind of loosened up that Park Crossing defense for the run game. They've taken some big shots down the field, not connecting on all those, but just the fact they're taking those, I think, have got Park Crossing thinking pass a lot, and then that's opened up some running lanes.
Jackson in motion. Parker hands it off the other way. And that is Brackett, lost his footing, but did stumble his way down to the 6-yard line, and we've got a timeout called, I believe. Yep, Park Crossing got to figure out some way to slow down the Bucks, so they use one of their timeouts.
Jacob Bodden that time, big number 64 for Hoover, leading the way with a nice block. And I tell you, one of the things that's happening now, I think we're seeing a little bit of fatigue. Maybe Coach Grider over there calling that timeout because they look a little bit winded. Obviously, the conditioning in spring is not going to be what you would see in September. And this has been pretty much a long time-consuming drive here by the Hoover offense. The last 2 drives have been kind of long, and so I think maybe Park Crossing just a little winded right now with 1:44 until the half. Mentioned Coach Grider there as longtime coach at Beauregard, and the only coach in the history of Park Crossing, and then started off his career, his first head coaching job 1 year at Central of Coosa down at Hanover. And his old school where he began his head coaching career will be here later on this afternoon. And the game you'll see right here on TV 24 as they'll take on Horseshoe Bend. So we're looking forward to seeing the Central of Coosa Cougars here later on this afternoon, and some other big games. We'll see we're going to see a variety of teams today. Top 6A and 7A teams. We'll see some 3A teams. We've got some 1A teams coming in. We'll see one of the top teams in 1A last year, Spring Garden, coming in. Southeastern will be here from Blount County. Winterboro, Alan Beckett and his team from down in Talladega County will be here. And then some more 6A action tonight is Wetumpka. Also coming from Metro Montgomery, Mary Montgomery from Sims down in Mobile County, coming all the way to Jacksonville later on this afternoon.
And Brackett is in. Nice surge by the right side of that offensive line as they just collapsed that Park Crossing defensive front. And that was a walk-in for Vontae Brackett.
We were told Brackett would be the go-to guy at tailback for Hoover, one of their top returning players, and that time just waltzes into the end zone. And we talked a lot about the Park Crossing offensive line, Mickey, but that time the Hoover offensive line blowing some big holes in there for an easy touchdown for the Bucks.
So the Bucks march down the field and regain the lead here very late in our first half. And the extra point by the outstanding kicker Barrett Pickering. There you see him. Is good as Hoover extends its lead to retakes the lead 14-10 with 1:38 left in this first half. And John, to me, the key in this game was the adjustments made by the Hoover defensive coaches to start getting some pressure on Cam Taylor, make him uncomfortable. It's created about 3 consecutive 3-and-outs, and now the Hoover offense seems to be rolling now.
Yeah, I think that Niblett and his staff over there decided, listen, we're not going to get any pressure whatsoever on Cam Taylor with our base defense, with our 3-man front. We're going to have to bring some linebackers. We're going to have to bring some blitzes. We're going to have to move some people around. We're just not going to get it done. Their offensive line's just too good for a 3-man rush to get things done. And they made those adjustments, and they've walked up some linebackers, and they've done some blitzes and brought some folks from the outside and the inside. And that has been, I think, the big thing is trying to get some pressure on Taylor. And as you said, they did just that. I don't know how many Nebraska fans we have in the state of Alabama. Probably a few, but they've got to be excited about this Garrett Pickering guy that's coming to be their place kicker. Already committed to the Cornhuskers, and he has been everything we thought he would be. Rated as the #2 place kicker in America in high school football for this season coming up.
And he booms it deep into the end zone.
There's a lot of college teams, some that I really am fond of, who would probably like to have a kicker like that. Just wow. He last year was 66 out of 79 in touchbacks. He had 79 kickoffs. 66 of those he put out of the end zone. Did not miss a PAT. And last year, as far as field goals go, he was also very impressive there. As for the season, he was 19 out of 27. A 6-foot, 185-pounder, first team All-State 7A kicker last year, and committed just a couple of months ago to the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Big Ten.
Park Crossing with a minute and a half to work with. See if they can get anything going. Back that time, Braswell stumbles forward for nothing. They're going to mark him right at the line of scrimmage, so it'll be second down and 10.
Even in the run game, Hoover a lot more aggressive, starting to even bring some corners, bringing outside linebackers. They're just being overall more aggressive, as you pointed out, Mickey, here in quarter number 2 as opposed to quarter number 1 defensively.
You get the feeling Park Crossing doesn't even want to try anything here. They just want to get to halftime and down by 4 and regroup for the second half. All the momentum is on the Hoover side right now. Taylor handoff up the middle. This is a big play here for Thunderbirds. All the way out across the 40-yard line goes Antonio Simmons. So now we'll see if Park Crossing will operate with a little bit more urgency.
Simmons has had some nice runs. That gained almost 21. He had a 50-yard run earlier in the game and then a 21-yard run there. Look out for Womack here. He's a great go-to big target possession receiver lined up here on the near side.
Taylor now will look to throw. Got time this time. Goes downfield, has a man wide open at the 32. Inside the 25 goes the tight end for Park Crossing. And we've got a flag back at the 40.
That's the guy I pointed out. I thought when they brought Womack in, I said, look out for him. And he had a number of guys he could have gone to, and Womack got behind the corner, and that's going to come back, though. Another play, outstanding play. Good throw and catch. Womack on the receiving end, Taylor to Womack, and I think that's going to be a big connection for Park Crossing, but a penalty flag is going to negate that and bring that all the way back. That was going to be about a 30-yard pass play.
What made the difference there? Taylor had time to throw, but according to the official, had a little holding help there. Tough break for the Thunderbirds. That huge play negated with a penalty.
Really like Womack, and he's lined up on this near side again, same spot he was last time, 4 wide receivers. And he had good protections. You mentioned, Mickey, that last time because he was able to look off 2 or 3 receivers and have enough time to find his final receiver, Womack.
So Park Crossing will now go back to the ground game and just, after that penalty, just decide to run out the clock and get this game to halftime. And the fans in attendance here from Hoover and the Montgomery area giving their teams a hand as they go off the field at halftime. Very entertaining first half here between the defending 7A state champ Hoover Bucks and Park Crossing. There you see Gerhard standing by with Coach Niblett.
All right, Coach, you're after a rocky start there in the first half. You got some momentum going, both offensively and defensively. Put a touchdown on the board and the second touchdown as well. Talk about your observations here.
Well, first of all, to God be the glory just to get to come out here. Man, we're so thankful to get to come to Jacksonville State and play. This is awesome environment for the kids, great exposure. But, you know, it's all about we got new faces, got some guys. And then so as soon as you put those uniforms on, everybody's intensity and anxiety kind of goes up a little bit. But once we settle down, we were fine. We still got some open things we're not hitting that, you know, we just got to take a little bit off. We're just a little bit excited. But, you know, I'm proud of our guys, proud of the way they're playing after we settle down.
You got about 10 minutes to talk to your guys. What was you looking for in the second half?
Well, just keep playing with great passion and great energy. You know, they come out and they go empty on us. And so, you know, when you're playing these spring games, you don't really work on nobody for the whole week. So you got to adjust on the run. Our D staff did a good job. You know, offensive line's got to continue to control the line of scrimmage so we can run a football and then play action and take the ball over the top whenever we want to.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, brother.
We'll see you at the end of the game. Guys, about you.
Always energetic and into it. Hoover head coach Josh Niblett will walk over and join his team. in the end zone here at Burgess Snow Field. We're going to step aside for a break, come back with much more as we are just getting rolling on this Saturday at the Gridiron Challenge.
Calhoun County Commission, made up of J.D. Hess, Tim Hodges, Fred Wilson, Don Hudson, and Lee Patterson, ask you to take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. With our beautiful parks, neighborhoods, recreational facilities, historic sites, and museums, our citizens enjoy a high quality of life and strongly supports the arts. If you're considering expanding or starting a new business, take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. You'll be glad you did.
Join us May 19th and 20th for the Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. Come experience Alabama's largest in-water boat show. Test drive pontoons from Bennington, Sun Tracker, Silver Wave, South Bay Regency, and Avalon. Fishing boats from Tracker, Nitro, Express, and Challenger. And personal watercraft from Sea-Doo. Weekend events include fireworks, live music, vendors, and giveaways, including a brand new lake-ready Sun Tracker pontoon boat. May 19th and 20th in Pell City. We'll see you on the lake.
I was finally ready to buy my first home after renting for the last several years. As I started my search, I got overwhelmed by how many websites and confusing listings there are. That's when I found the experts at ERA King. To me, ERA means expertise, reliability, and activity. I depended on them to find a home in my budget, and they didn't stop working until the keys were in my hands. ERA King. To us, it means always doing the right thing for every client. What will ERA mean to you? Find out at eraking.com.
Huge hailstorm equals huge savings at Buster Miles Ford in Heflin. Come experience a stress-free buying process during our hail sale and save thousands. Over 300 vehicles must go. The damage so small on some and saving so big on others. We have brought the professionals in to fix the cars right. Work has begun for our loss and your gain. Come take advantage of these savings, hopefully never to be seen again. Buster Miles Ford in Heflin off I-20, exit 199. The difference worth driving since 1947.
The 2017 college football season kicks off in Montgomery. The Guardian Credit Union FCS kickoff will open the college football season on Saturday, August 26th at 5 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Don't miss two of the nation's top-ranked FCS teams, the Jacksonville State University Gamecocks and the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Mocs at historic Crampton Bowl. Visit GuardianKickoffClassic.com for the FanFest schedule of events and game information.
You will take more than 672 million breaths throughout your lifetime. Yet life is not measured by the number of breaths you take, but by the moments that take your breath away. JSU is proud to offer Northeast Alabama's only Bachelor of Science in Respiratory Therapy. Now enrolling tomorrow's breathing specialist. Breathe easy.
The Calhoun County Commission, made up of J.D. Hess, Tim Hodges, Fred Wilson, Don Hudson, and Lee Patterson, ask you to take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. With our beautiful parks, neighborhoods, recreational facilities, historic sites, and museums, our citizens enjoy a high quality of life and strongly supports the arts. If you're considering expanding or starting a new business, take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. You'll be glad you did.
Join us May 19th and 20th for the Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. Come experience Alabama's largest in-water boat show. Test drive pontoons from Bennington, Sun Tracker, Silver Wave, South Bay Regency, and Avalon. Fishing boats from Tracker, Nitro, Express, and Challenger. And personal watercraft from Sea-Doo. Weekend events include fireworks, live music, vendors, and giveaways, including a brand new lake-ready Sun Tracker pontoon boat. May 19th and 20th in Pell City. We'll see you on the lake.
And welcome back to JSU Stadium. Great shot of Jacksonville, the campus of JSU, here at the Gridiron Challenge. Our first game of the day is a dandy. There you see the Hoover Bucks leading Park Crossing out of Montgomery 14-10. Mickey Shadricks and John Holder rejoining you now. And John, we talked a lot in the first half about the expectations for these two teams going into the 2017 season. Hoover will be the defending 7A state champs. They'll be a threat again. Park Crossing showing that they're going to be a championship contender in 6A. So why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about what's the schedules look like for these two teams next year?
Challenging schedules, obviously. When you get to the highest levels of high school football in the state of Alabama, you would expect that there's going to be some really tough competition out there at the highest level. So we're going to take a look at the schedules now for both Park Crossing and for Hoover. And we mentioned Hoover. They just have not been able to find anybody to play them non-region in the state of Alabama. You see the region games there with folks like Mountain Brook and Spain Park and Tuscaloosa County and Oak Mountain and folks like that. But really, you start looking at their out-of-state. They've got IMG Academy. IMG was wound up as the number 2 ranked team in America last year in the USA Today poll. That is the school that's down in Bradenton, Florida, that folks have heard about. It's really like a boarding school. And they are actually coming to play at Hoover to close out the regular season November 3rd. To open the season, the defending 6A champs in Georgia last year, and that's the largest classification in Georgia, Grayson, Georgia, in the metro Atlanta area, beat Hoover last year 36-14, as a matter of fact. They'll have a rematch next year, and that game will be over in the Atlanta metro at Grayson. And then another new team making their way to the Hoover schedule this year, September 1st, Meridian, Mississippi, who traditionally is very strong in the state of Mississippi over in the eastern border there. They will be coming to play at Hoover. And then, of course, you got your traditional opponents, big arch rival games with folks like Mountain Brook and Spain Park and Vestavia Hills, Thompson coming along. And so you've got just a tremendous schedule there. There's really no easy outs on that schedule, as you would expect for the Hoover Buccaneers. So, again, as you start taking a look at that kind of schedule there, they just have not really been able to, for several years now, to find anyone, Mickey, from in the state of Alabama outside of region play to play them. Park Crossing also has a tremendous schedule as well. That says Lee of Huntsville September 1st. That is actually Lee of Montgomery on September 1st, and that is a revenge game for Park Crossing. Last year, Park Crossing lost to them, Mickey, 51-44. Then Lee had ineligible players, so that technically was a win. So Park Crossing's official record was 13-1, but on the field it was 12-2. And that Lee of Montgomery game on September 1st at Crampton Bowl, that it will be really the only game that last year Park Crossing lost. So that is why that is such a revenge game there. You see another game, folks in our area are going to be real interested in that game September 29th, Gadsden City. That game was played at Gadsden City last year, and they beat the Titans by 2 touchdowns. The game last year was originally scheduled to be played at Samford University in Birmingham. They're going to play a neutral site game on a Thursday night at Samford, and then something happened there. They decided to play the game at Gadsden City. But Gadsden City was a 7A semifinalist, lost to this Hoover team in the North Alabama Championship game last year, and Park Crossing came into Titan Stadium and beat the Titans last year 2 touchdowns. That tells you, again, the top quality that they have. And then the rest of those, you got region games there with folks like Jeff Davis, Carver, Montgomery, Sidney Lanier, Dothan, Northview, those teams in region play down in South Alabama.
All right, that's a look at the schedules for both of these teams for 2017. And now let's go back down to the field. Gerhard is standing by with a special guest.
Hey guys, I'm here with Chris Good, and if that name sounds familiar, he's a former Alabama player, played 7 years in the NFL for the Indianapolis Colts, and now he's doing great work back in the state of Alabama. First off, we'll talk about some of your playing days. You've been at this level before, playing high school spring football. Talk about some of the things that were some of the things that you remembered from your high school, your college, your NFL days as you got ready for the season.
Man, the high school days have been so long. With all playing, all the college ball and NFL part of it, you kind of forget some things. But I tell you, it was always exciting, especially this time of year in spring. Try to see who balls and who are your good players that are on the team as well. But, NFL side, college days, it was fun. I wouldn't trade for nothing in the world. But, people always ask me about if I had to do the NFL part again. I said, in today's football game, yes. But during the time I was playing, no.
You're also doing great work now with the Prep Academy, helping guys that want to play football that might have some disadvantage, whether it's in the classroom or wherever, and being able to help them, propel them to get to that college level. Talk about the Prep Academy that you started and the vision for it.
Well, Good Elite Prep is something that I'm starting this year. What we do is help kids that are unsigned seniors that are coming out, or kids that's been out 2 years that want to continue to play sports. Maybe, they hadn't excelled for us in the classroom or just in football, because sometimes it takes kids a year or two before they can excel and get better. So my thing is to come out and try to help kids with the ACT scores, get the GPA up, and help them get another opportunity to play college football. Because once they come to Gouda Elite Prep, the thing is we're playing prep football, but it's junior college football. So they get a year. It's a redshirt year, and then they can sign a 4-year scholarship. So I have a friend that has one in Birmingham. He's did a good job with the last 2 years, and I've kind of helped him in the last 2 years with the program. And so I kind of tweaked some things and looked at the way some of the things that I want to do. And it's going to be a very good setup. I will be at Stillman College because they don't have a football program anymore. So I will be down there, starting the program there. I would do the football, girls basketball, and track and field for girls and boys. And I think it's a great program.
Absolutely. Talk about some of the things for people who are interested to be able to get into it.
Yeah, if you're interested in getting into it, go to GoudaElitePrepCoach.com and go under the application, fill the application out, and get contact me. And then what I'll do, call you and put you in contact with my director, and or give me a call at 205-540-1700.
Before we get you out of here, we'll ask you one question about your brother. Obviously, there's been a lot of well-deserved attention to ALS, and that's something that he's gotten a lot of attention for. Some of the players, other players at Alabama, some other players that have played football and other sports around the country. And talk about the awareness that he is raising for a great cause.
Yes, ALS, as we all know, for people that know about ALS, it's kind of it's a bad disease. Everything quits working. Only thing that works well is the mind. He's in a wheelchair right now, and we do a lot of charity events as well. When we did with Kevin Turner as well, when he developed ALS, and I watched him go through it. Now I'm looking at my brother to go through it, and I always talk to guys in our NFL chapter about going out supporting any cause or any event for its charities or if anything we have tried to help to raise money. And so it's one of those things that's especially when you have family members close, and I've seen it with guys playing in the NFL, but when it's a family member, it really hits home, and just to see what's going on. So it's something, I can tell you that.
Absolutely, and it's got to be great having all the support that you've had with, like you said, your former brothers, your former teammates, friends, coaches, and even strangers that want to be a part of the cause.
Yes, we've had a lot of support, which is good. He's in Birmingham now. He had an ALS event last night, and we'll continue to do that during the summer. And we've got a lot of support from the University of Alabama and a lot of other universities. So, because every team, everybody knows someone that has ALS, and we got to find a cure for it.
Absolutely. You're doing great work, brother.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it. Gouda Elite Prep. Make sure you check it out in Tuscaloosa.
All right, great job, Gerhard. I tell you, that's worth showing up for, just that interview. Incredible stories.
Boy, it's Kerry Goode. If you're our age, Kerry Goode's a household name. We remember the great player he was at Alabama. That night at Legion Field against Doug Flutie in Boston College, where he just had an incredible half of football, probably as incredible half of football as any Alabama players ever had before he had a knee injury in the second half. And to hear that news from Chris that his brother's now in a wheelchair. I just saw Kerry Goode at a Gene Jelks football camp just a couple years ago over at Gadsden City at Titan Stadium, and talked with him, and Kerry Goode was just vibrant and looked like he could play then. And to get the news that he's now in a wheelchair from Chris, it's a heartbreaking deal, and especially come on the heels of Kevin Turner, another guy that played at Alabama and played in the NFL and was such a great, strong, physical football player, and to see that happening to two really popular players in Alabama history. I know a lot of folks want to send their thoughts and prayers out to the Goode family, but talking about the Goodes, you remember this, Mickey, when they were at Hazelwood High School in Town Creek, that was, Hoover's the dynasty now, but the dynasty back in those days was Hazelwood. You had Kerry Goode and Clyde Goode and Pierre Goode and all those guys, Terrence Lynch, Antonio Langham, and all those guys. And that was kind of the first high school football dynasty, I guess you would say, before we had folks like Hoover come along.
All right, we're just about set for the second half. Very good first half, especially considering it was just a spring game with very little practice time for both of these teams. Just great execution for both teams in the first half. And there we see outside the stadium, I believe that's Cordova that'll be taking on Hewitt-Trussville in our next game. So got another really great game coming up next on our schedule here at this Saturday at the Gridiron Challenge. Fair catch called for there at the 20-yard line on the little pooch kick as Patrick Malone made the fair catch. So Hoover will have it 1st and 10. And John, we talked about the momentum that Hoover was able to seize there, especially in that second quarter. They turned the game around with their defense, able to get pressure on Park Crossing quarterback Cam Taylor, kind of changed the tone of the game. Their offense got a couple of sustained drives, and so now they've got an opportunity here to really seize control of this game to begin the third quarter.
And their offense really came around too. They were shut down for most of that first quarter, but then Jalen Parker kind of settled in at quarterback. And as Coach Niblett mentioned with Gerhard there at halftime, he put an emphasis, if you noticed, on wanting to get the run game going. And I think that was the big deal, especially the back half of that second quarter. They really got the run game going, and that kind of opened everything else up, kind of took a little pressure off of Wilson. And now they've really got the offense going. These last 3 or 4 drives by Hoover have been very productive.
That's Jaquez Allen with a big gain on first down, 9-yard carry, 2nd down and 1 at the 31. Parker to throw on 2nd and short. Pocket collapses and he's going to go down. Hit from behind by Darius Hodges. So Park Crossing putting a little pressure on the Hoover quarterback. So instead of after 2nd and 1, now it's going to be 3rd and 5.
Very nice play by the, we talked about how big and massive that offensive line is for Park Crossing. Their defensive line has not got a lot of small guys out there either. There's some big guys on that front 4 for the Thunderbirds.
3rd and 5, big play for both teams here to start the second half. Here's the give to Brackett, and he's got the first down.
Exactly what Coach Niblett talked about. He wanted to get established in the second half was that running game. And we mentioned maybe in the spring, maybe you're not got quite the conditioning you do in the fall. And I think that's another thing Hoover maybe senses is maybe they're a little bit winded there at the end of that half. And now let's go back and let's pound them and run the football.
Get that big offensive line out in front of those running backs. First down pass play, incomplete. Parker was trying to connect with Timothy Booker at the 45-yard line. The coverage was good, so it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Beautiful day now. The clouds, as we expected, are kind of fading away, and we are in total sunshine here. And the view, I think the folks from Hoover and all the schools that are here that have never been to JSU before will agree. This is one of the best views in all of college football from this home site here at JSU Stadium.
Big gain here. That's McCammon. Got a chance to go the distance. Nobody's going to catch him. And that's getting the running game going as Larry McCammon takes it all the way for the touchdown.
Larry McCammon's 65-yard touchdown run for the Hoover Bucks. And give credit to the offensive line. He was not touched, Mickey. He ran through the big hole and then popped it to the outside and outran the rest of the Thunderbird defense. Look at this great blocking. Not a finger was laid on him. And then he had the speed to take it to the house. Nicely executed play in the running game by the Hoover Bucks.
So here is Pickering, and he remains perfect on the day. 3 extra points. Hoover now extending their lead to 21-10.
Seeing a lot of the Hewitt-Trussville folks that are coming in, Mickey, for the next game that we mentioned between Hewitt-Trussville and Cordova, Tennessee. I would imagine you're going to see there's a big crowd here from Hoover, as you would expect. I would imagine a lot of these Hoover folks are going to stay around and watch that because last year in North Alabama, Gadsden City had that big upset win over Hewitt-Trussville, but everybody kind of expected that North Alabama championship game was going to be Hewitt-Trussville and Hoover. And with the kind of talent Hewitt-Trussville has coming back, I think there's a sentiment. Of course, folks like Gadsden City will have a lot to say about that with their new coach, Bart Sessions. But these two teams are kind of eyeballing each other from around 4:59. And so I think you're going to see a lot of the Hoover folks sticking around today to see what Hewitt-Trussville looks like in that next game.
So now I think, John, here the pressure now shifts to the Park Crossing offense, because if they can't sustain any drives, get some first downs, put some first downs together, this game could get out of hand quickly, I think. So I think this is a key possession here for the Thunderbirds.
I would agree. We know they're going to start at the 20 because Mr. Automatic on the touchbacks, Garrett Pickering, puts another one deep into the end zone. This is, I think, going to be a good test for their new quarterback. And he's not a new quarterback, played at Prattville, but as far as being in the offense here at Park Crossing and leading his teammates, I think this will be a key series for him, as they've had some big plays in the running game, but for the most part, the wide receivers he has, and being down now by 2 scores, I think it's going to really land on the shoulders of Cam Taylor to try to generate some offense. So the 6-foot, 205-pounder going to come out and see if we can get the Thunderbird offense to flying here at JSU Stadium.
You know, they took the game's opening possession, marched down the field and scored a touchdown. Then they were able to get a field goal off of an interception, and since then Hoover has really had their number. The receiver and the defensive back tied up a little bit there, but the pass is incomplete, no flag on the play.
Greg McConaughey was the intended receiver. Probably would have been open, but he fell down, got tangled up with a Hoover defender. And just another dart. I'm telling you, the arm strength and accuracy from Cam Taylor is off the charts. He is throwing lasers out there.
So now 2nd and 10. We'll see if Hoover pins their ears back and comes after Taylor. They leave it on the ground and nothing doing for Antonio Simmons. So not a good start for this possession. Incompletion on 1st down, no gain on a running play on 2nd down, and here you sit in 3rd and 10.
Mickey, I think this is the biggest offensive play of the game for Park Crossing right here. 3rd down, and really, you might say 9.5, but in essence it's 10 yards, and they desperately need a 1st down, if nothing else, to keep their defense off the field and give them a little bit of a break here in this 3rd quarter.
Hoover shows blitz. Linebacker walks up right over the center, now backs away. Here comes pressure from the edge. Taylor breaks 1 tackle, asks for a block, but the Hoover defense catches up to him at the 22-yard line. So again, outstanding defense by Hoover, as they will force a 3-and-out again with this Thunderbird offense.
Cam Taylor has some wheels, but give all the credit to the Hoover defense, not only flushing him out of the pocket, but doing some containment, not allowing him to get to the sideline, not allowing him to get upfield and use those legs to pick up the 1st down. Really, I think that's probably the best defensive play that we've seen this afternoon by Hoover. And again, they should wind up. They've had a couple of good bounces as Park Crossing in the last couple of times they punted, but regardless of that, Hoover's going to probably wind up getting the ball around the 50-yard line. They've got their punt returner back standing with his toes on the 50-yard line, so good field position likely coming for Hoover.
And they come after the punt and they get a piece of it. I knew this was coming because the punt snaps have been really slow getting back there to the punter, and you know the Hoover coaches saw that, so they come after the punt here. They get a partial block, and they're going to have the football at the Park Crossing 32-yard line as Hoover looking to deliver the knockout punch, John, here in 3rd quarter.
And this is the difference between a top-flight 7A program like Hoover. You're in your 10th day of spring practice, and most folks don't do any work. They just don't have the time at the smaller schools. You just don't have the time, the coaching staff and so forth, and the specialty players to really work on the kicking game in the spring whatsoever with only 10 days. But their kicking game, not only are they doing it live, but it is flourishing here this afternoon.
Actually, the pressure just caused the punter to have to kick it in a weird angle, and it was a very short punt. And now Park Crossing getting the pressure on Parker. Great penetration. You had 3 Thunderbird defenders right in the backfield. Quarterback never had a chance here.
Jamichael Jones going right up the center, and that time they brought everybody. Nowhere for Wilson to go. And so a big loss all the way back to the 43-yard line. So that is exactly what Park Crossing needed to happen for them, was to get Hoover out of that good field position and put them into a 2nd and long situation.
Trying to create something with their defense as their offense is struggling. And another good defensive play here on Brackett is coming up from the secondary was Jaquan Johnson making the tackle on the Hoover back, and a very short gain. So now Park Crossing with a chance to get it back, John. They've got Hoover in 3rd and 10.
And now we'll see a little bit of pressure put on Hoover now to try to convert a 3rd down and long situation.
Park Crossing showing blitz. Here they come. Good play calling. They had the screen set up against the blitz, but Hoover unable to execute his bracket, could not haul in the pass.
Jarquez Donaldson coming straight up the middle again that time. Good pressure by Park Crossing, and they had it set up. If he could have reeled that in, I don't think you can see it on the replay, but there were 4 or 5 orange jerseys. He had a convoy in front of him. I don't know if he would have gotten the first down, but he would have been mighty, mighty close. But take your hat off to the Park Crossing defense that time. They took care of business. First getting that sack, then pressing the quarterback on 3rd down, and they'll get the ball back as they hold Hoover in the 2 or 3 and out.
Timeout on the field by Park Crossing. It comes with 6:34 left in our 3rd quarter as the Park Crossing defense holds Hoover. They're set to get the football back when we come back.
Calhoun County Commission, made up of J.D. Hess, Tim Hodges, Fred Wilson, Don Hudson, and Lee Patterson, ask you to take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. With our beautiful parks, neighborhoods, recreational facilities, historic sites, and museums, our citizens enjoy a high quality of life and strongly supports the arts. If you're considering expanding or starting a new business, take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. You'll be glad you did.
Join us May 19th and 20th for the Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show, presented by America's First Federal Credit Union. Come experience Alabama's largest in-water boat show. Test drive pontoons from Bennington, Sun Tracker, Silver Wave, South Bay Regency, and Avalon. Fishing boats from Tracker, Nitro, Express, and Challenger. And personal watercraft from Sea-Doo. Weekend events include fireworks, live music, vendors, and giveaways, including a brand new lake-ready Sun Tracker pontoon boat. May 19th and 20th in Pell City. We'll see you on the lake.
And as we come back to JSU Stadium, you hear the Hoover fans and their support of the special teams play just made by the Hoover punt team. Maybe we'll have here we go, a replay of it. But check out the punt here. It hits right inside the 5, and look at the execution here.
That is a big-time punt and big-time punt coverage by Hoover. That is as good as you're going to see at any level of football, college, pro, anywhere. You're not going to find a better situation than that. And give all the credit again to Zach Elam, number 6, with another fantastic punt.
Park Crossing goes with a Wildcat formation, and they stay on the ground with Simmons. Picks up about 3 just to give the offense a little breathing room.
Mickey, they're going to have to go about 99.5 yards because this drive started on the half-yard line after that outstanding punt.
Special teams, very special for Hoover, as Simmons, good hard running, spins out to the 10, so he very close to a first down, makes it 3rd and 1 now. Park Crossing, big possession play here as the Thunderbirds really would like to string some first downs together here, and as John mentioned earlier, get their defense a breather.
This is really a must-make first down for Park Crossing. 3rd down, about a solid yard. They have to get to the 11.
And Simmons just takes a snap. That is just physical football right there. Simmons just would not be denied, ducked his head, and got behind that big offensive line and got enough yardage for a first down.
Looks like they're going to have to measure this. I thought he had it, and it looks like they're going to go over and bring the chains in to measure this to see if he had the first down. No, they're going to say it is a first down. First down.
Big first down conversion. Now Cam Taylor comes back in at quarterback as they exit the Wildcat formation, but they do stay with the ground game up the middle. Not much running room at all for Braswell. He picks up a couple of yards out to the 15.
Park Crossing not taking any chances here with the ball still backed up at their own 15-yard line, trying to just hammer it out of there. At some point in time, though, they've got some talented wide receivers. They'll put the ball back in the air.
Hand off as they stay on with the ground game again. Simmons, I tell you, this Simmons kid, he runs hard. He turned what looked like a no gain into about a 2 or 3 yard run. It'll make it 3rd down and 3 now for the Thunderbirds.
Able to pick up about 4 more yards all the way out to the 19-yard line. Another stoppage in play here, an official timeout.
Equipment issue with left tackle Dimitri Williams, so he's going to have to leave the game, and he'll be replaced by Justin Chappell.
Talk about Tank Jenkins at 6'3", 341. Dimitri Williams, that other tackle on the left side, Mickey, he's a small fellow. He's only 6'5", 318. They average about 330 at their two offensive tackles.
Third down, Taylor looking to go to the air. Now he's got a chance to run for it, and he's got all kind of room in front of him. First down yardage and much more as he's out near the 40. Takes a shot on the sidelines, and there's going to be a late hit, a penalty flag across the way, and this is going to add even more yardage to the play.
Well, he picked up 21 yards on that run, and then they're going to add 15 more to that. So this is going to wind up being a 36-yard gain, and it's going to put the ball after the 15-yard penalty into Hoover territory. Tell you, Taylor, the folks in Class 6A football in this Metro Montgomery area cannot be looking forward to having to go against this guy on Friday nights. And I'm sure a lot of our Gadsden City Titan fans, they're thinking, hey, Cunningham, he left, he went to Louisville, he's gone. Now Gadsden City's got to deal with a quarterback who looks like he's equally as good.
So Park Crossing has moved this football all the way out from their half-yard line to the Hoover 45. First down, give to Simmons, and he is smothered behind the line of scrimmage. Again, we mentioned those two big defensive tackles for Hoover in this game. That time it was big number 90, Stevie Cole, making the stop. Loss of a half yard. It'll be second down and 11. Taylor hands it off up the middle. Huge hole. Simmons got a chance. Just what the doctor ordered for this Park Crossing offense. And John, they did. 99.5 yards they go and get back on the scoreboard with a chance to pull to within 4 with the extra point.
The momentum at the first of the game was all with Park Crossing. Hoover seized that about midway through the second quarter, and they held it up until right then. And a 45-yard touchdown run by Simmons. There was a missed tackle, as you see right there, and that freed him into the secondary, and he just jogged the rest of the way 45 yards for a touchdown. And here comes Park Crossing. We talked about kind of Hoover taking a couple of body blows. Park Crossing's taking some body blows, and now they come back, but there's a blocked extra point. The Hoover special teams, I think that's one of the things. Look at this dynasty through the years with Hoover. One of the things that has been, I think, a key to that a lot of people overlook. Yeah, they've had some great talent. They've had a lot of depth. They've had a lot of things that have fueled this. But I think if you discount the way their special teams have been over the last 17 or 18 years, that has been as big as anything, I believe, and why Hoover has been as successful as they've been.
Well, you just look at this game. You know, the blocked extra point, take a point off the board there. You had the punt, even though they were able to go score still. Great execution on the punt. Then their kickoffs into the end zone, controlling field position. Their extra points automatic.
Big kickoff return they had.
Kickoff return that led to their first score. So it is special teams, really special at Hoover. No doubt about it.
I'm just really amazed, though, to sit here in May, on the 13th of May, to be sitting here and seeing the quality of football that we're seeing after only 10 days of spring practice. I mean, this is really some good quality football. You and I have talked about this a lot in this. You know, this is a great football game to watch. This is a great football game not only for the spring. This will be good to watch in September, October. This has just been a great high school football game here this afternoon.
And two of the marquee names in the state. I mean, you're right. These two teams we will hear from in the 2017 season. And this kick will sail into the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. The Bucks will get it back as their lead has been cut to 5 late here in the third quarter.
That's a nice kickoff by Park Crossing that time, and that will ensure that Hoover's field position stays in check as they'll start this drive at the 20.
And as we get late into the game, you know, it'll be interesting to see how, I mean, obviously both these teams have a lot of numbers, they have a lot of depth, and it's not an extremely hot or humid day, but still these kids have not had a lot of conditioning work with a limited practice time in the spring, and this is a full 4-quarter game, so that could play a role here, especially in the fourth quarter.
These are the full 4 normal 12-minute quarters. The next game coming up between Hewitt-Trussville and Cordova, Tennessee will be 4 10-minute quarters between the Huskies and the Wolfpack. I guess we're going to have a dogfight coming up here in the next game.
Brackett able to pick up 5 yards on first down there, so 2nd down and 5 as the Bucks trying to get that ground game cranked up here. Brackett, nice patience, and I tell you, Brackett has shown a lot of patience today, John, when he's run the football, letting those blocks set up and not committing too early in the play, and he gets 4 yards there, making it 3rd and 1.
Yeah, and I think Brackett, obviously one of the guys the Hoover fans were coming out to see today. I think overall, I think if you're a Park Crossing fan, I think if you're a Hoover fan, you've seen enough today to know both these teams are going to be contenders again.
Here comes the blitz on 3rd and 1, and they get there. Oh, McCammon breaks the tackle, though. And McCammon is going to make Park Crossing pay for the missed tackle. It's for the 2nd time today. He scores on a long touchdown run. Park Crossing came with the blitz. They had him dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage. They had him stopped, and instead it turns into a touchdown. Incredible play here.
Just a missed tackle at the line, but give all the credit to McCammon. He was wrapped up by 2 or 3 players, but they failed to bring him to the ground, and they didn't complete the tackle, and then he shows his speed. McCammon with a 65-yard touchdown run, and now follows that up with a 70-yard touchdown run. That one obviously was the most impressive because he broke 2 tackles in the backfield. They just didn't wrap him up and bring him to the ground, and McCammon showing some wheels and some strength for this Hoover Buck team as they come back and answer immediately. And Mickey, that's the mark of championship teams that we see through the years. They always come back and answer the call, and all the momentum had shifted back over to Park Crossing after going 99.5 yards and getting a touchdown on a big touchdown run. Hoover, like all championship teams do, they answer immediately.
And what a back-breaking play. Park Crossing, if they just wrap up, Hoover's punting the football, and they're getting it back with momentum down by 5. Instead, absolutely, Hoover now back out to a 12-point lead.
Well, Coach Smitty Grider that particular play right there will be the play that he will use all summer long to motivate his players. Just what you said, Mickey. We had Hoover. We had them. We had all the momentum about to get the football back, and because of one fundamental, because we didn't bring the guy down to the ground, everything went south and went the other way. He'll use that. I guarantee you, he'll cut that play up from the film, and they'll be watching that throughout the summer as a learning lesson.
Got a good bit of wind inside the stadium here, not blowing the football off the tee.
Just cannot tell you what a beautiful day it is here in Jacksonville, Alabama, though. Just outstanding. That's 75 for the high today.
And another kickoff that sails completely out of the end zone.
If I'm a Nebraska fan living here in Alabama, I'd be calling all my other Nebraska fans out in the Midwest and saying, hey, we don't have any worries about kicker coming up this year. Don't know what kind of kicker Nebraska's got, but I know the one they've got coming in next year when they get into the 2018 season will be outstanding. Still a year away from getting there, but folks in Nebraska in the future don't have to worry about place kicking, that's for sure.
Well, Park Crossing put together a 99.5-yard drive to get back in the game, and now after that heartbreaking play for them on the long touchdown run by Hoover, they're back down by 12, and gut check time again for them, John, as they've got to try to sustain something offensively just to keep pace and stay in this football game.
An empty backfield. Josh Niblett talked about that in our halftime interview with Gerhard Mathangani. So they're empty again with 5 wideouts.
Taylor flushed out of the pocket, throws against his body, and they're going to say complete to number 2. Zackees Lowry, who adjusted and made the catch for a 7-yard gain. So 2nd and 3, and Park Crossing quickly back up at the line of scrimmage.
Well behind the intended receiver, but a great catch and wound up getting 7 yards off that.
Here comes the blitz again. Taylor makes some pay as he throws a strike over the middle to Johnson.
Well, we see why this Park Crossing team, Mickey, averaged 40 points a game last year. I mean, they're doing this against, Hoover's calling card last year was defense. They held McGill-Tulane in that state championship game down at Jordan-Hare at Auburn to 7 points. And look at this Park Crossing team coming in here with 16 points and looking for more.
Taylor over the middle, got his man, and he holds on after taking a shot. Does Johnson a huge throw and catch on 1st down, and you got to tip your hat to Johnson because he took a shot from behind by the Hoover defensive back.
He surely did, and this is a good Hoover secondary led by Chase Brown, who had 4 interceptions last year playing a corner. But right now he's not only having some great throws, but these receivers have been wide open as well.
Pass on 1st down is incomplete. It was intended for Greg McConico, so now Park Crossing will probably. They were going in a hurry till that play, picking up the pace.
Went to McConico that time. Probably, hindsight's always 20/20, probably should have went to the secondary receiver in Lowry. Lowry was wide open on the sideline. No one was over there to cover him. Probably would have been a bigger play and a more open receiver.
5-receiver formation. Here comes the pressure. Passes away and incomplete. Outstanding play defensively by the Hoover defensive back as he got that right arm in there and knocked the football away from the intended receiver.
That time he did go to Lowry on the slant pattern and knocked away good defense by Hoover. So here we go, another 3rd down and about 9.5 coming up here for Park Crossing. Probably 4-down territory if need be for the Thunderbirds.
Here comes the rush by Hoover, and the pass is incomplete. It was intended for Lowry, too long, and that will make it 4th down.
Well, let's see what Coach Grider does here. 4th and about 9.5 at the 28-yard line. They may call a timeout. It looks like they will.
Timeout on the field. We'll come back and see what Park Crossing dials up on 4th and 10.
We're looking to sell our starter home and move into our dream home. After looking at all the options, we chose to work with ERA King. ERA means easy, responsive, and attention to detail. ERA King made the entire process of buying and selling a house easy. From helping us decide on a listing price to navigating the final closing, our agent worked with us every step of the way. ERA King. To us, it means always doing the right thing for every client. What will ERA mean to you? Find out at eraking.com.
Huge hailstorm equals huge savings at Buster Miles Ford in Heflin. Come experience a stress-free buying process during our hail sale and save thousands. Over 300 vehicles must go. The damage so small on some and saving so big on others. We have brought the professionals in to fix the cars right. Work has begun for our loss and your gain. Come take advantage of these savings, hopefully never to be seen again. Buster Miles Ford in Heflin off I-20 exit 199. The difference worth driving since 1947.
And we are back at JSU Stadium. Park Crossing 4th and 9 at the Hoover 28, and they will go for it. Down by 12 points here to the Bucks. Taylor fields a low snap, in a lot of trouble here. Gets the pass away toward the end zone. It's a touchdown. Number 8, Jaquan Johnson kind of made a move on the Hoover defensive back as Taylor was scrambling. And that was just great work by quarterback, receiver, improvising and coming up with the big touchdown.
It's amazing because you would think that these two guys had maybe played together for 2 or 3 years. Keep in mind, Taylor is the transfer in from Prattville, and just great communication. good job by Taylor to spin away from the pressure. One, to pick up that pressure, realize it's coming, spin in the right direction, and then find the receiver running free in the end zone. And that's a killer play for the Hoover defense. You got them on 3rd and 9 and about 4th and 9 and about to get off the field, and you give up the whole enchilada. You give up a touchdown, and all of a sudden, I love the resiliency, because there have been 2 or 3 times
just thinking the same
Park
thing.
Crossing could have laid down and said, hey, this is a spring game. Let's get back on the bus and go back to Montgomery, and we'll have a good summer. I'm telling you, they are here to play and win today.
I was just thinking the same thing, because this is 2 consecutive drives that if Park Crossing doesn't do something, Hoover has a chance to just blow them out here in the second half. But they've answered twice, a 99.5-yard drive, and then that drive there. And I tell you what, a lot of evaluation will go on by both teams as they, look at the film and look for positives and negatives. But one thing that the Park Crossing coaches are going to have to be pleased with is the heart, and as you said, the resiliency they've shown here to not fold the tents when they've had their backs to the wall.
Well, Malik Cunningham, their quarterback last year that went to Louisville, may have been the best 6A quarterback in the state. I'm telling you, Cam Taylor, if he is as good a 6A quarterback as I think there is in the state right now, just from watching him.
I agree. And he's doing this against what will be one of the best defenses in the state.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a Hoover team that, as we mentioned earlier, that was Hoover's calling card last year, was defense.
So Park Crossing cuts the lead back down to 5, 28-23. Hoover receives the kickoff. And a good return out to the 30-yard line for the Bucks. That is number 3, McCammon, who's had a couple of long touchdown runs in the game. So Hoover will get it back offensively, 1st and 10 with 30 seconds left here in our 3rd quarter.
Hoover is just, again, even on that kickoff return there, Hoover's just at another level than most high school football teams when it comes to special teams. Just a very well-designed return that time. He was within maybe one tackle, one guy away from breaking that kickoff return.
So now the Hoover offense back on the field, and Parker with time now darts out of the pocket. Takes a shot down low by the Park Crossing defender, but spins his way out for about a 4-yard gain to the 35.
Not as elusive as Taylor is, but still he's elusive enough, Mickey, that he can put some pressure on the defense. They can't just totally forget about him. They have to account for him, as he was able to pick up 4 yards there. So a positive gain on 1st down. And
he's thick enough to where if you're going to take him on, you better be ready. And that'll take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. And it has been an outstanding spring game here between Hoover and Park Crossing, and we've still got a lot of football left to play. Anybody's game, really. The Bucks carry a 5-point lead into the 4th quarter.
The moment rain hits the ground, it begins a journey through your neighborhood. Along the way, this storm water encounters a lot of harmful stuff, including excess fertilizer, yard clippings, motor oil, even pet waste. Water then carries these pollutants into the storm drain and directly into the nearest river, lake, or stream, polluting our waterways. Visit cleanwatercampaign.com for more. Help be a solution to water pollution.
When it comes to great tasting barbecue, nobody does it better than Dad's Barbecue. Dad's Barbecue is slow hickory cooked to perfection, and Dad's menu includes a wide selection of popular items such as our smoked chicken sandwich, ribs, salads, and the best chicken fingers in town. And Dad's offers fresh homemade hamburgers and hand-dipped ice cream shakes. Dad's utilizes the latest technology to ensure that your orders are always accurate and hot out of the kitchen. Family owned and operated since 1985, Dad's Barbecue, with 2 locations in Anniston to serve you.
Hi, this is Kevin Riggin with the all-new Tameron Honda in Gadsden. We're excited to be one of the newest and fastest growing Honda dealers in Central Alabama. And with every new Tameron Honda, you get a 250,000-mile powertrain guarantee. I've personally been serving Central Alabama for over 25 years with all your Honda needs. Come see me today or check out our website at TameronHondaGadsden.com. Tameron Honda in Gadsden, where you're going to love the way you're treated.
I got back my Smack Talk touchdown, hole-in-one, three-point home run, hat-trick pavement-pounding, record-setting goal across the finish line. Because Core didn't give up, I didn't give up. And I certainly didn't give in. I'm going to get back to doing what I love. I'm going to get back to winning.
All right, we're back at JSU Stadium. We're into the fourth quarter now between Hoover and Park Crossing. We apologize. We missed a couple of plays, but due to this game going a little long, they're not waiting on us at all, so we'll catch you back up. And this pass on second down completed to the Park Crossing 40-yard line, caught by Zach Elam from Parker.
And more than likely what we're going to see here, and I think we're already starting to see this at the beginning of this fourth quarter, is seeing some of the second team players come in so that Coach Niblett and Coach Grider can get a look at some of their younger players in game action.
And here is the handoff to Colin Jackson, rising junior. Also a new quarterback in the game for Hoover. We'll try to get you updated on these position changes. I think it's Seth Comfort, number 15, who's now in at quarterback for the Bucks. And, well, I'm told we think it's 16, Chase Brown. And as John mentioned, a lot of new faces and new numbers. There you see number 16, Chase Brown, the quarterback in now for Hoover. A lot of new faces on the Park Crossing defense as well. Third down and 3. Brown, his pass is incomplete, trying to connect with tight end Traylor Breimer. So it'll be 4th and 3.
Josh Niblett got exactly what he wanted out of his team this year. In this game, he got a really competitive, athletic team that put a lot of pressure on his team at times. He saw some resiliency from his team, able to answer back in the varsity portion of this. And then I think Coach Grider, certainly his team got what they wanted out of this, coming up here taking on the defending 7A state champions and standing toe-to-toe with them.
4th and 3. Brown will keep it and get the first down all the way down to the 20-yard line. He was tackled by Park Crossing's Jalen Warren, the junior, but not before he picks up the needed yardage for a first down. And believe we want to correct ourselves. We think that is Robbie Ashford in at quarterback, the sophomore, wearing number 16. 2 number 16s on our roster, but we'll go with Robbie Ashford, the quarterback. Throws toward the end zone, incomplete. He's trying to connect with Xavier Long. He had a step on the defender, but the pass just a bit too long.
The other 16, Chase Brown, is the all-state defensive back, one of the top DBs in the state coming back. I think he probably has seen his action for the year, a 5'11", or for the game, a 5'11", 175-pound corner who led Hoover last year with 4 interceptions and will be one of the top DBs in 7A football next year. But so we believe he is probably on the bench, and this is probably Robbie Ashford listed as a quarterback on the Hoover roster.
Ashford, nice play fake, nice cut, still on his feet. And he takes it. Let's see, no signal from the official. We're going to mark him out just short of the goal line. What an effort, though, by the sophomore. He's pleading his case for a touchdown.
That was a fantastic run. What an awesome effort here by Ashford. And I think he just went inside, or I should say outside the pylon instead of inside. Let's see right there. And I think they're going to correct it. The officials come over and talk about it. They may have seen our video up on the instant replay in high school football, but they may have seen our video. But No, good work by the officials. They did a good job of collaborating on that. Another one of the officials came over and said, hey, I had a better view of it, and it looked like he scored, and so they give them the touchdown. I think that was the correct call and a good job by the officials.
Hey, even if he didn't get in, feel like he earned that one. Blocked extra point here, no good. So the score will remain Hoover 34, Park Crossing 23 with 8:14 to play here in the game.
So Hoover blocked an extra point by Park Crossing. Park Crossing returns the favor, and the margin is 11.
They see number 39 getting in there, Jamichael Jones.
Jamichael Jones came off the corner. He was there about the time the ball was on the tee.
He was waiting on it, wasn't he?
Don't forget, this is really just the beginning. We come back in with some great games coming up.
All right, let's check in with Gerhard down on the field.
Guys, you talked about Robbie Ashford, the quarterback that just walked into the ball game. He's 14 years old. I've talked to some guys that work in the scouting department, and they said he's 14, already has an offer from Missouri as well as Illinois, and a lot of people believe that he will battle for the starting quarterback job this year, and if not this year, he's definitely the quarterback for the future for the Hoover Bucks.
Wow. I think we have just broken some big news here today.
Can you? I can't wrap my mind around, Mickey, being 14 years old and having already being offered a football scholarship to play in the SEC and in the Big Ten. I know that we're living in uncharted territory as far as how these players are being identified at a younger age, but it is amazing to me that a 14-year-old is already being offered by Big Ten and SEC schools. It blows my mind.
And as important as the quarterback position is in this sport, if you're a Hoover fan, you got to feel pretty good about your immediate future for the next few years, the kind of talent that young man appears to have. And again, the young man we've seen play most of the game. I mean, I could see, though, just from his physical ability, even though he's young, I could see this being, as this kid gets more experience and more playing time.
We haven't seen his arm yet, but his wheels probably better than Wilson.
And his size is outstanding. Obviously got the natural size for the position. So Park Crossing taking over on offense. Again, a lot of new faces out there. New quarterback in for the Thunderbirds. That is number 7, Trevor Robinson, who will be a sophomore next year for Park Crossing. And an injured Hoover Buck down at the 22-yard line. There you see number 7, the new quarterback in the game, Trevor Robinson. And there you see the injured Hoover player. I think that's number 28, Grant Sneed. Well, we've got 2 number 28, so.
We're not sure. They're both seniors, both listed as maybe Noah Williams. He's listed as the DB, so we'll go with Noah Williams, a senior defensive back that's down at about the 25-yard line for Hoover.
And while they tend to the injured player, we'll take a timeout as well and be right back to JSU Stadium.
Water is in a bit of trouble. Suspected of carrying harmful pollutants into community storm drains, stormwater faces a serious problem. When it rains, dirt, motor oil, excess fertilizer, and trash are washed into rivers, lakes, and streams. And a clean raindrop becomes an unwilling accomplice in the problem of water pollution. It's up to each of us to do our part. Visit cleanwatercampaign.com to learn more. Help protect our water.
When it comes to great tasting barbecue, nobody does it better than Dad's Barbecue. Dad's Barbecue is slow hickory cooked to perfection, and Dad's menu includes a wide selection of popular items such as our smoked chicken sandwich, ribs, salads, and the best chicken fingers in town. And Dad's offers fresh homemade hamburgers and hand-dipped ice cream shakes. Dad's utilizes the latest technology to ensure that your orders are always accurate and hot out of the kitchen. Family owned and operated since 1985, Dad's Barbecue, with 2 locations in Anniston to serve you.
And we had a miscue there by the Park Crossing offense. The football hit the ground, and fortunately for the Thunderbirds, quarterback Trevor Robinson able to fall on it back at the 15. So a loss of 5 on the play. Here we see it again. Trying to hand it off to the running back who wasn't ready for it. By the way, seeing that Dad's commercial there, I'd like to thank Dad's Barbecue for providing food for our hard-working crew here at the Gridiron Challenge. Appreciate Dad's support of TV24 and all of our sporting events throughout the season. Another bad snap. Robinson, all he can do just to pick it up and fall forward, so it'll be 4th down for the Thunderbirds.
And let me tell you, Dad's Barbecue is fantastic food. More than just barbecue, they have just about everything there. Great hamburgers, great salads, the smoked chicken salads, the turkey that I talk about on Pigskin Roundup all the time, chicken fingers, the whole 9 yards. They've got everything that you could possibly want at Dad's Barbecue. One of my personal favorites is they have outstanding sweet tea, about as good as you're going to see anywhere. And they take care of us on those football Friday nights throughout the season, and taking care of our crew here today at JSU Stadium.
So Park Crossing sends in the punt team. And the kick by Booker takes a Park Crossing roll down to the Hoover 42. So the Young Bucks will now come back out on offense. And there is Elizabeth Neese. Understand, our newest camera person. Hi, Elizabeth.
Waving straight at us. She's on the she's in the end zone where the JSU field house is, on the west side of the stadium here at JSU. Don't forget, we've got all kinds of spring football games. We started this on Thursday night, and we had 3 games with 6 teams on Thursday. We'll continue with more games today. Right after this game, we've been talking about the big game between Hewitt-Trussville and Cordova, Tennessee, coming from Metro Memphis. Later on this afternoon, we'll have Central of Coosa and Horseshoe Bend playing, and then Spring Garden, Southeastern, and Winterboro will play a round robin, and then we'll come back with Wetumpka and Mary Montgomery of Sims. It's amazing. We're going to have teams, 38 teams, 22 games, all 7 AHSAA classifications. We've got teams from Georgia, teams from Tennessee, of course, teams from Alabama, obviously, here over these next several days.
And a little pass out in the flats is complete. Hoover with a new quarterback in for this series.
Josh Niblet may have been like, I've got a secret weapon here. I may not want to show too much of him. Only left him in for 1 series. May have heard us talking about that up here and said, I mean, to put him back under wraps.
Looks like Karan Phillips, the rising junior, is in there now at quarterback for the Bucks. And his screen pass is complete. Nice run after the catch. That is number 87 for the Bucks, and that is Jake Tucker. Nice block there by the receiver.
Just a seemingly limitless pool of football talent at Hoover. They're down to probably their 3rd string players, and these guys are super talented as well.
Phillips hands off to the back. That is Lowry. Or no, correction, that is Jackson. And he is taken down immediately, which will set up a 3rd down and 4. Reminder coming up next, another big gain on our schedule as we continue with our live coverage of the Gridiron Challenge, Cordova and Hewitt-Trussville.
You know, the Wolves of Cordova, we know how good Hewitt-Trussville was last year, and what a great job that Josh Floyd has done over at Hewitt-Trussville with the new stadium, and a lot of excitement about that program. But this Cordova team, they're an eastern suburb of Memphis, so coming all the way from Memphis, Tennessee here to Jacksonville. They were a team that was 12-2. They have 6 classifications in Tennessee in high school football. And Cordova, the Wolves last year, were 12-2 in that 6A classification in Tennessee. They've got some college prospects. So that's another top quality team that's going to come in here to play Hewitt-Trussville. Probably in about, we'll kick that game off, I would imagine, within the next half hour.
Koki Lee, the defensive end for Park Crossing, came across the line of scrimmage too early. That'll cost him 5 yards, and it'll cost him a first down. That'll give Hoover a first down at the Park Crossing 19, so the Bucks will maintain possession with 3:26 to play in the game. And I apologize, I've been giving the wrong name. Seth Comfort, we believe, is the young man now in at quarterback for Hoover.
Comfort with a nice looking throw again. That was a bullet. Nice throw and catch.
We apologize for any incorrect names that we mentioned, but again, we are dealing with some limited information and try to make sure we correct our mistakes. But I do think that is Seth Comfort in the game now at quarterback.
Comfort hooking up with Jake Tucker, who's nice looking wide receiver, number 87 over on that far side.
And this is Jackson, number 2, another carry. Not much right up the middle.
Just from what we have seen Thursday night, of course, we saw Oxford and Minor, two of the top teams in 6A. We saw Anniston and Tyner Academy from Chattanooga, Tennessee, that was down here. And we saw Boaz and New Hope on Thursday night. Just from what we've seen there and what we've seen here, looks like another outstanding season of high school football coming up across the state of Alabama. Another exciting season. We mentioned earlier the season starting a little bit later this year. We won't get started until the 24th, 25th of August, and we'll be going all the way until the 7th or 8th of December with the Super 7 championships flipping back over to Bryant-Denny Stadium at Tuscaloosa this year. And a lot of outstanding talent, as you can see, that we've been able to see just here in the first 4 games of the Spring Gridiron Challenge, and a lot more that we're going to see over the next several days.
So the Park Crossing defense comes up with the stop. They get it back. Trevor Robinson scrambling, trying to turn the corner, and gets it out to about the 14-yard line as we near the 2-minute mark of the game. Play gained 2 yards after that long scramble, so 2nd down and 8. And Robinson hands it off to Hendricks. Hendricks gets up about a yard as the Hoover D does a good job of stringing out that play. It'll bring up 3rd down and 8 from the 15.
Clock ticking down. Want to remind our folks here in East Alabama that are watching, our Pigskin Roundup magazine will be out again in August, around mid to late August, just before the season starts. And also, if you're watching us on TV24.tv, you can go back to TV24.tv on Friday nights at 10:30 and watch our Pigskin Roundup high school football show 2 hours on Friday nights. We have a nice looking interception here by Hoover.
Tyrell Goldsmith gets the interception here for the Bucks.
Nice break on the ball, popped it up in the air right back into his hands and nearly had a pick 6. Good job by the Park Crossing receiver to make the tackle and prevent that pick 6. But Friday nights, you go to TV24.tv. Even if you're from Hoover or Montgomery or wherever, you go there and you want to keep up with high school football around the state, specifically here in East Alabama. A good place to go is our Pigskin Roundup show for 2 hours live on Friday nights as we cover not only East Alabama, but especially when we get into playoff time, we're covering really the whole state of Alabama. So a good place to camp out on Friday nights from 10:30 to 12:30 after the games.
And there we see I think we've got the youngster back in there at quarterback. Robbie Ashford is the handoff to number 18. Cameron Billups goes nowhere, so we are down now just to our final seconds.
And we see the Hewitt-Trussville Huskies there in that northeast corner of Burgess Snow Field here at JSU Stadium, anxiously awaiting to take the field for their game with Cordova. I'm looking forward to seeing Hewitt-Trussville. This is another high-flying offense. And one of the best 7A teams in the state of Alabama made it all the way to the quarterfinals of the 7A playoffs before an upset loss at home to Gadsden City last year.
And here's the give up the middle. And it'll be first down yardage for the Hoover offense, and that will be the final play of the game as time will expire and Hoover will win this one 34-23. An outstanding high school football spring game between two great programs. Hoover with a lot of tradition, all their state championships, Park Crossing entering their fourth season of competition, but as you can see, they have caught on very quickly and look like a serious 6A state championship contender as we head into the 2017 season.
Stick with us. Gerhard Mathangani, I believe, is going to try to catch up with both Josh Niblett of Hoover and Smitty Grider of Park Crossing. Be interesting to see the comments from both of those folks. Hewitt-Trussville Huskies are on the field, and we talk about the eye test, and certainly Hoover and Park Crossing passing the eye test as far as being good-looking football teams. Mickey, look at this bunch from Hewitt-Trussville down here. That's a good-looking bunch warming up on the east side of the stadium as well.
Look forward to seeing that game. Coming up next, again, we will have it live right here on TV 24. Going to keep it right here, as John said. We hope to have both coaches for you here before we break away.
And Gerhard's got them both lined up, just seconds away from going down to Gerhard in just a couple of moments with both coaches at one time.
All right, we're ready. Let's send it down to Gerhard.
Grider and Coach Josh Niblett here after the game. We'll start off with you, Coach Grider. First off, your impressions of this team overall, the Hoover team you played, and your guys.
Well, I'm really excited about the way our team played today. We started fast, had a little lull, and then finished strong. And, you know, it was a great opportunity for us to play against a program like Hoover, and they've got such a great team and a great program over there. But I'm really pleased with our guys, and I think it set the tone for a great summer.
Absolutely. You guys started off really hot, and then in the third quarter, you got it moving again. Talk about some of the things you saw from an X's and O standpoint where you took away some things that you're pleased and some of the things that you'll work on.
Well, we got to get a little bit better up front on the offensive line. Got to work a little bit better on our protections. But Cam Taylor did a great job avoiding the rush and making plays. The receivers caught balls. And then on the defensive side, we just got to play better technique. We didn't do a great job of squeezing and fitting up front, and they were able to create some plays that way. And they got a great running back. You know, he had a heck of a game. We had a hard time tackling him.
Final question, moving forward, talk about some of the things that you'll do with these guys as you get ready for August.
Well, you know, we're going to evaluate the spring game. We'll start our summer program on June 6th and try to pick up where we left off. I think the guys gained a lot of confidence with the way they played today. We got some new coaching staff members, and we've got new players in new positions. So felt like they gained the confidence to know that we're going to be right back where we were last year.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, Coach. Best of luck in the future. We'll turn it over to Coach Niblett. All right, we talked at halftime about the kind of lackluster start to begin with, but then you picked it up there. Talk about just the overall impressions of your team first quarter to fourth.
Anytime you come into a spring, I mean, you get 10 days of practice. You know, the first 7 practices are basically good on good, us against each other. So then maybe you get a couple of days to where you try to figure out maybe what you're going to get, and then you got to make adjustments. You get here, we got a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball. So, you know, guys had a little anxiety, a little stress, but to God be the glory for us to have an opportunity to come out here. You know, hats off to Park Crossing, you know, and Smitty, and those guys do a great job, man. So it was a good matchup for us and good to see a lot of speed, and that's what I want to see as much as possible to allow us a chance to adjust and then see where we're at when we evaluate our film.
A little bit of a homecoming for you of sorts. You played here, and then you got a chance to bring your guys back here. Talk about coming back into this element and having your guys play under these lights.
Well, my dad played here, you know, in the 60s. So, you know, my wife's from Alexandria. So I coached at Oxford. I coached here 3 years. So, you know, it was awesome coming back, and, you know, felt like, you know, when I left, you know, there's some things that have changed. But, you know, it's awesome. Anytime you can come back and you got family members or people that you know that can come and they know who you are, and, you know, it was neat. It was real neat.
You know probably better than anyone about bringing a team back from a state championship, getting the team right in their mindset to start off the next season. What are some of the things that's worked in the past and some of the things you'll do with this squad?
Well, I think every group's a new group, you know, so you got to have a short memory. So, you know, I always say when you're on top of your game, you got to change your game. So, you know, we're going to do the fundamentals of the things that we do, that our culture that we pass down from group to group. But there are certain things that you got to adjust to fit what you got personnel-wise, whether it be scheme or fit what you got, you know, like from different personalities. And I think that's what it's all about. I love doing that. Our kids understand that. But every group's different. You got to give your seniors the opportunity to leave a legacy behind. This group wants to be known for winning the championship, not one that won it when they was a junior. So they're locked in, they're focused on that. So today was a great opportunity for us to get out here and then take the first step.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Continued success. Guys, look good.
Thank you. God bless. Sails up. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gerhard. Congratulations to Hoover coach Josh Niblin and his team for a great showing here today. And there you see coming up next at the Gridiron Challenge, Hewitt Trussville and Cordova, Tennessee. Boy, looking at these two teams warming up kind of got my attention. Can't wait to see how these two teams match up. Carl Brady and Gerhard Mathangani have the call of that game for you coming up next.